As soon as we are live. It says we're live, and I'll let you know as soon as we appear. One moment, one moment. Alrighty, we are. I think. Hold on. Why am I here? Okay, there we go. Alrighty, and we are live. Yes, we are, everybody. Alrighty, there I can hear myself. How's the audio, everybody? Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you all are tuning in. We finally got it going. Man, oh man, we've had some spiritual warfare today, trying to prevent shows galore from happening early in the morning. That was wild. And now, right now, finally we got going. And I am thrilled and pumped to have my near and dear friend, the incredible Kevin Simons here. We're going to be talking about all things Fatima related. So we're going to, in fact, I'll pin the link right away. So if you all want to, actually, let's get going first. Maybe 20, 30 minutes. I'll pin the link. We'll take questions as they come in. But before we even dive into any questions that come in, Brother Kevin, how you been, my friend?
Well, doing okay. I'm not sure the last time we did a show together, but it might be when I was still in South Carolina. I'm in Texas now. Mm-hmm. I accepted a new job last summer, and so here I am.
Praise the Lord. How you live in Texas, man?
Well, I've lived in Texas before, so it's just I'll just say I'm in East Texas. I'll just say that.
Yeah.
And my standard disclaimer is my opinions and thoughts don't necessarily view those of my workplace or my diocese. So
there you go, man. There you go. We know that.
Yeah.
No worries at all.
The job's been great. It's a school job, and we're winding down the school year. We just had our first final today. It was a Socratic seminar with our Philosophy 3 students, and of course they all want to know, how do we do? And I'm like, I gotta review everything, but I don't think anybody failed. Well, that's good.
There you go, man. There you go.
And I jacked my back up though, so I want to apologize. I would otherwise have my screen on, but
there's no worries. We got a great audience. Let me tell you one thing, because you've been in the audience before. We have a tremendous audience. I call them the Patristic Pillars Familia. They are amazing. They understand. They're praying for you. Audience, he is severely injured. He's doing the show because he loves Our Lady of the Rosary, Our Lady of Fatima, has a deep love for Mary. He is severely injured. Please pray for him. He's here because of his love of Mother Mary. Isn't that right, brother?
Otherwise, I don't think I had to. I couldn't even finish classes today. I went back in for fourth period because of that final, but. Yeah, I'm just cramped out here on my bed, and because it's I finally found a comfortable spot for my back. So yeah. I think it's an impinged nerve on the left side there, because I've had it before, and it seems much the same thing. So it just hurts like nobody's business.
I'm sorry, Father Chad. I'm sorry, man, but there's Fatima. If there's anything Fatima proves Catholicism, my friend. You got no foothold here, my friend. I love you, Father Chad, but I'm sorry, man. Orthodoxy, there's no foothold there for Orthodoxy in Our Lady of Fatima, my friend. Thank you for the message, Joe. I see. Go ahead, my friend. Go ahead, brother.
Did somebody say something? I don't see all that stuff that what you see.
Well, he's not watching on YouTube. So I stream in many locations. So we're here on YouTube, where we get the largest audience by the grace of God. And usually we get about 200, sometimes more. And then we are also in Facebook and various different places. He's watching on Facebook. He's not tuning in on YouTube. So,
did he say something? Did he say something? What did he say?
I don't know what he shared there, but Father Chad is rather anti-Catholic, so I'm not surprised. Whatever he shared is probably I don't know. He used to be Catholic back in the day, but we like him anyway. Nobody's going to talk bad about him. We love you, Reverend Chad. We'll be nice, Reverend Chad. There we go. St. Francis Baby Toe is wondering, and we're praying for him as well, because St. Francis Baby Toe is having a little bit of a rough evening. We hope he's doing well. What's up, Kevin? Was the message of Fatima, was it managed? I don't know what he means by that.
That's all right. Somebody's been watching Father Jason Sharon's videos.
Okay.
Or they went to my website and they're trying to ask about that.
Okay. And we love St. Francis Baby Toe. Just to let you know, he's a magnificent Catholic, and he says early question. So I don't know if he's getting it from Father Sharon, and I have not seen it, but what does that mean? What does that mean?
Yeah. Well, first, let me just say it was great to finally meet you in person at the Council of Trent conference last month. That was like, we were sitting in the audience, and I was like, wait, that's William Roberts on the stage. So I texted you, and hey, I'm here. And you're like, you're here too? It was rather funny.
Yeah, that was great meeting you there, bro. That was phenomenal.
Yeah, good conference too. I read that talk by Brian Holdsworth. Oh, that just I just had to personally thank him for that talk. It was just solid.
I didn't get to watch it. I was hanging out with Dr. Boyce and Cameron, and we were drinking coffee, so I didn't get to watch it. But we had a great time. I got to meet you. I never knew you were like 10 feet tall. I never knew you were that tall.
Yeah, little 6'5". But I look at the Hunchback of Notre Dame right now, so I'm probably like, I don't know, like 5 foot nothing. Who knows? I don't know.
Well, he's giant, man. You're the only Catholic I know taller than you is Gary Machuda. He's the only one that would make you look shorter. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But what does that mean? The message of Fatima being managed.
Yeah. So this has come up recently. Father Jason Sharon made a video, I think about a month ago, actually. Claiming that Fatima was managed by church officials in order to, well, it just kind of depends upon how you interpret what he said. I have a functioning transcript of that particular video, and I issued a response and put it on my website. And I want to say that my response came after I tried to contact him and talk to fathers privately. He and I spoke last year, back, I think it was February 11th, give or take, and on the phone, for like 25 minutes or so. And he knows me, he knows my work, and it was a very pleasant call. We haven't admittedly had too much conversation since, but he made that video, and it came to my attention because I think I either saw it or some people asked me about it. And I went and I watched, I listened, I had the function transcript of it, and Father's contention in that video was that Fatima was managed by officials, and he pits it against what he calls it like the managed church or Church Inc. or, in simple street English, he basically creates official church, which with all of its slime and skullduggery and all this other stuff, versus the prophetic church, which is we have to the good, the obedient one that does everything that every apparition in the church ever says. I might be oversimplifying it, but I think you get the point. And he had a lot of good things to say in that video. He really did. I have to say that. I acknowledge that in my article. But I published my response after he stopped texting me. I don't know why he stopped. But it was just cold turkey. It doesn't even show that he read the messages anymore. And then when I ever try to call him, it goes straight to voicemail. So I'm like, I don't know what's going on. But he gave me the reference that he cited, or something the work of a professor named last name of Luthi, and it was on like communism, the Cold War stuff. And I interlibrary loaned the book, paid $3 to do it, and I have it right here on my night table actually. And I looked at the pages in question that Father Sharon had cited. It brought up, thank you. And I had a much better understanding of why he is taking the path that he is on this particular issue. My difficulty with him is that even though I understand the distinction that he's making, I think it's kind of wrong at the same time, because I don't see it as necessarily managed as much as it was the maternal side of the church acting in order to protect the message of Our Lady of Fatima. First of all, the historical timeline is a little skewed. He talks about the Metz Agreement, which happened in August of '62, and that was the agreement that allowed two Russian Orthodox observers to come to the Second Vatican Council. That agreement was kept hush hush for many years until the Italian writer Roberto de Mattei, in his book Vatican II: The Unwritten Story, had published the fact. And it had been kind of rumored and whispered about a little bit, but I think Mattei was the first person that really kind of like got access to archival documents and found it out. And Father Sharon then will argue as well that, well, the third part of the Secret of Fatima was supposed to be revealed in 1960, and it wasn't because the church hierarchy managed it, as opposed to obeying Our Lady. See, that's that good church, bad church, good cop, bad cop thing going on. His historical understanding is, I'm sorry to say, mistaken, because the Metz Agreement came in 62, August of 62. John the 23rd opened and read the third part of the Secret of Fatima in August of 59. And when I said something to him about this, Father responded and said, yes, yes, that's true, Kevin, but it's the foundation, the ideology was already there in John's the 23rd's mind with Ostpolitik, which is the word for East politics, how the church was going to address what was going on in the East. From the socio-political and ecclesiastical realms. And people can criticize John the 23rd. I myself have done so in my book on the third part of the Secret of Fatima. But there's a way to do it and a way not to do it. And I don't think that Father Sharon does it in a very healthy, contributing way to the discussion because of this black and white issue he's created, and the historical facts simply don't support his conclusion. There's a lot more going on here. There's a lot of more gray area than he realizes, I think. And that was why I was trying to talk to him until all of a sudden I just started going to voicemail. I wasn't like rude or anything. I was just like, I really would like to talk to you, Father, here, because, I think that there's some things that we need to go over. And I was suspicious that he was being influenced by a lot of the Fatima Center literature. And then in another video that he made recently, he openly admitted that he has become convinced by the works of Antonio Socci, who wrote Il Culto Segreto di Fatima, the Fourth Secret of Fatima book. And then he cited Christopher Ferrara, who is an associate of the Fatima Center with Father Nicholas Gruner. As soon as Father said that, I was like, I said, I knew it. So help me, I knew it. So that's what is going on. That's a lot of the backdrop with respect to with this question of what does he mean by managed.
So you definitely don't believe it is managed, which is I'm glad you are loyal to the message of Our Lady of Fatima. Then I'm glad.
Well, and that's exactly what it is. It's about loyalty to the message and about fidelity. I can honestly criticize steps that John the 23rd made. But at the end, there's a lot more. So, for instance, one of the things that Father Sharon I don't think he was aware of. He might not have been. Maybe he was. I don't know. But when they got the text at Castel Gandolfo in August of 59, there was no interpretation of that text. Contrary to Fourth Secret of Fatima proponents, there was no interpretive text. We know this now because Our Lady commanded Sister Lucia in 1944, write what they command you, but not that which is given to you to understand of its meaning. Right. So there was no, as Christopher Ferrara puts it, missing soundtrack of the Virgin. There was with respect to what might have been given to Lucia to understand, but insofar as the Fourth Secret is about a second text with all that information written on it, no, didn't happen that way. And John the 23rd didn't have an interpretation, and it would have been highly, highly imprudent to publish a text where people were scratching their heads going, what in the world does this mean?
Right.
So they didn't publish it.
Now, St. Francis Babytoe is asking a follow-up, and I do want to thank him. Thank you for your support, brother. And I also want to thank the brother Branca, because earlier, Branca, by the way, good morning, brother. Earlier, Branca had some tremendous questions. Branca, God bless you, my friend. If you want to come back here in dialogue, or if anyone else has any questions, you got the man here, Kevin. St. Francis Babytoe is asking, he says, you refer to the Fatima Center. Are they bad?
I don't want to use blanket terms like in this context with the Fatima Center.
You would just disagree with certain things.
I have respectful disagreements.
Okay.
And I will say what I have said for many years now. I think that some of the things that they have published, they ask good questions.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I think they took some of their conclusions to those questions too far.
Okay.
So, for instance, example, they said that when the third part of The Secret was published in the year 2000, they were like, "That's it," or there must have been something else. Well, we now know that in fact is the case. But it's one thing to say that there's something else. It's another to then turn around and say the Vatican is acting out of malice, actual malice, and covering it up.
No doubt.
That's going too far. Well, but if we back up the horses, it's a simple observation. It just feels incomplete. It sounds like there should be something else, because this is a description of a vision, not an interpretation. Where's the interpretation? That would have been an acceptable question to ask. And we now have the answers to that question.
Yeah.
So I don't say they were bad. I think that they took things a little too far in some
respects.
That
nuance. That is a good nuance, and I think you're very fair in nuancing things. That's a fair nuance.
Because I like to believe that if Father Gruner was still with us, may he rest in peace. He's been gone, I think, 11 years now. If he was still with us when I published my book, I would like to believe that he would have reached out and contacted me and said, "Okay, I don't know if we agree, but I want you to come to one of our talks and meet our people, and let's have a constructive dialogue." I honestly believe that Gruner was the type where he would have offered something like that.
Now, when is your new book coming out? Because as far as I know, audience, it's out already.
Yeah, the first edition came out in May of 2017. The second edition came out, depending upon how you date it, either December 31st of 2024 or January 1st of 2025. So it's been out in a little over a year now.
Okay, very nice. Is that also available on digital?
I believe there's an ebook.
Okay.
The publisher offers it paperback, hardcover, and I think there was an updated ebook. I think I think so.
Awesome, great. I wish I'd known that. I would have mentioned that detail earlier. That is great to hear. And audience, there's one thing when it comes to the third secret of Fatima, when it comes to the nitty-gritty, heavy-hitting stuff, I am very honest. I know nobody better than Kevin. I know nobody better. And Kevin will tell you, when I saw him there at the conference at the Council of Trent, I introduced him to Cameron Bertuzzi, to Dr. Boyce, to all these guys as the very best when it comes to Our Lady of Fatima. And I stand by that. I know nobody that has more voluminous knowledge on Our Lady of Fatima as a whole than this guy here. Nobody. So if you have questions about the third secret or anything, you got the right guy here. And I'm glad he's here, despite being so injured. I'm very grateful that he's here, spending time with us, and filling us with great information. The brother Jimmy asks you, and Jimmy, thank you for your support. You're a tremendous brother. He says, "Hey Kevin, did you ever hear Jacinta having a vision when she was sick that Mother Mary wanted her two older sisters to become nuns, but their mother refused, so Mother Mary took them to heaven?" Have you ever heard of that?
I can't say that I have. That sounds apocryphal to me. I've never heard of that at all.
Yeah, so that definitely wouldn't be part of the original.
I'm not going to say it didn't happen. I'm not familiar with it. It just rings apocryphal in my mind.
Let me ask you this: are there a lot of apocryphal stories? And Brother Jimmy, that sounds apocryphal to me as well. I am nowhere near being an expert, but that does sound apocryphal to me. I do have to ask you: are there a lot of apocryphal tales attached to Our Lady of Fatima?
Oh yeah, they go back. I mean, they go back to the events themselves. People making up stuff, and I mean, even Lucia had to correct people over the years.
Really?
Oh yeah. I mean, even somebody as illustrious as Father John de Marquis, he made some mistakes in his book, and Lucia was given a copy of it, I think, after it became published or just before it was published, and she made some corrections. And even in one, I don't remember which memoir it is. I want to say it was either the third or the fourth memoir. She wrote a letter. I'm sorry, I'm thinking of the big book by Father Antonio Maria Martins, the Memorias de Carta to Irma Lucia book. He's got a bunch of stuff thrown in there. So in my mind, I've got like everything together and all blends into one. But we have a letter from her, or a document in that collection that he published, where she's saying this, yes, this, no, this, that kind of thing. So it goes back even to like the events themselves.
Wow.
In one way or another.
Mm-hmm. I didn't know that. What would you call the wildest apocryphal tale you've ever heard?
Oh my goodness.
I know. I'm putting you in the spot, man. What would you call the wildest apocryphal
You're going to
tale?
open it. You're opening up the door, and I'm going to walk.
I'm opening it up, man. Audience, I am opening up a can of worms.
I think you're setting me up deliberately for this, but that there's been a fake Lucy That is the wildest. I mean, that's the whopper of them all.
I set you up for that one, didn't I?
Yes, you did. You wanted me to say that, didn't you?
I did, man. I did. You want to do it. You're trying to avoid it. You ain't gonna avoid it here, man. You're trying to avoid that audience. You know that, right? Come on, man. We're the devil's advocates. We had devil's advocates galore in the morning. You know, we got Kevin here. Where are they? Hit him hard with a fake Sister Lucy. Hit him hard with that. Now that
I'm actually in a better position now to discuss this fake Lucy
I've
stuff.
seen the photos, and I'm no expert, but I mean that.
Yeah.
Okay, can I ask you this?
I've looked into it now. I've looked into it now for almost going on a year, and I'm in a much better position now than I was this time last year.
Can I ask you this?
But I'm very careful about what I say because I'm working on a book, and I don't want to say too much at this time.
You can hear me, right? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
No
worries. No worries. I was hoping that you hadn't lost my audio again. Allow me to ask you this. Is the fake Lucy theory, and just be honest, is the fake Lucy hypothesis, is it stupid?
Come on, Caritas Christi urged me non dicere. The charity of Christ compels me not to speak. Is it stupid?
Yeah.
I think that there is some
from the outside looking in, it looks silly.
I think that there are some honest and well-intentioned people who do believe it. So I don't want to besmirch their honesty or integrity.
Okay. Wonderful answer.
Theoretically, I will speak. Theoretically, I think it's ridiculous because just at face value, you're looking at an incredible claim, and the bar for evidence is set so high for that. And I know the one organization that's been pushing it lately, Sister Lucy Truth, they believe that with all of their experts that they've raised the bar to that level. They haven't.
Right.
I can tell your audience, I can tell everybody in this audience tonight, they haven't. I've been doing the digging, and I am so not impressed with what I'm reading. It's actually quite disgusting, if I may use that word, because it's a lot of it is marketing.
Yeah.
I will be careful what I say there. But it's people who are trying to find answers to difficult questions. But the moment that you point this out, they accuse you of engaging in what's called the genetic fallacy.
Sure.
And that's not happening. 1 Peter 5 recently issued an article in which they made a call for people to write articles for them about Fatima.
Okay.
I've taken up that invitation, and I have composed 4 articles.
Wow.
Discussing the fake Lucy hypothesis. And I'm going to drop a bomb. This is an exclusive for you, by the way. I'm going to drop a bomb in that article, in one of the articles, and it's going to, and people's heads are going to explode.
When's that bomb coming?
Depending upon if I can get my T's crossed and I's dotted with some proper research that still needs to be done. I mean, they could publish it tomorrow if I get the answers to some questions that I'm researching. You know, it's just I think they're going to publish one at a time. But the third one that I have planned right now is going to be explosive. Yeah, and,
I love that. I love that.
I already took Sister Lucy Truth out to the woodshed, out behind the woodshed earlier this year, and they're about to get another spanking.
I love that. I love hearing that. I love that passion, man. I love that passion, man. I mean,
I'm 44. I've got to bust it up back. I'm not mincing my words at this point. I can be polite and respectful, but I'm not going to mince my words. I took them out behind the woodshed earlier this year because they made an extremely egregious error of fact, as well as their methodology and manner of proceeding in a claim that they made. And I knew better. It all began when it was December 22nd. They released a video called "The Priest Who." You ask about fake Lucy, here you go. This is the kind of stuff that you're dealing with this organization. This is already public, so I can sit on this because it's already out there. They claim to have all these experts and all these people that have pulled all this stuff together and all these photos and documents and blah blah this blah blah and the whole 9 yards, right? They couldn't even do a simple fact check. On December 22nd of last year, they published a book called, a video on YouTube called The Priest Who Knew Too Much. And it was about Father Joaquin Maria Alonso, who was the former Fatima archivist. In 1976, he published a book, La Verdad sobre el secreto de Fatima, Fatima sin mitos. The secret of Fatima, the truth about the secret of Fatima, Fatima without myths, in English. It came out in a second edition in 1988, and somebody digitized the book and they put it online. I think it was on 2 websites that have a digital edition of it. Sister Lucy Truth, in order to make this video, used, I believe, 1 of those digital editions, but you have to have a subscription to sign up for it. And then there was another one that is also available, and that's the one that I had access to, but I also own. I have a personal hard copy of the 1976 book. Mm-hmm. I've had it for a few years now. And he made a factual claim that, factual, quote unquote, he made the claim that Father Alonso, in this book, was implying or trying to drop little hints to his readers that there was a fake Lucia. In one of the pages of the book, it shows Pope Paul VI with Sister Lucia on May 13th, 1967. And underneath, the word Lucia is in brackets with quotation marks in the digital edition. And then on the next page, there's another picture of Sister Lucia when she was a Dorothean religious. And it's all in brackets. The text underneath it and the picture itself, it's all in brackets. Anybody who has done any kind of editing work in the editing world knows what brackets like that mean. It means that there was some kind of a change by a later editor that wasn't original to the author. Well, I saw this in the online edition, and I was like, wait a minute, hold the phone. And of course, I go and I check the book, the 1976 copy. It doesn't have no brackets, none of that stuff. And then I contacted the National Library of Spain, because they have a copy of the 1988 edition, and I paid them $12 and change to make copies for me of the pages that I needed. And they sent it to me, and lo and behold, it doesn't have all the quotation marks and brackets and all. It doesn't have any of that stuff.
Wow.
So I published a rebuttal about a month later. At the time, I was in South Carolina. My mother had passed away in November 24, and I was back at her house to take care of some family items and stuff. So I didn't have time to address it then. But when I got back here to my home, I was like, after getting settled in, I was like, okay, I really feel compelled to write about this. So I wrote about it. It was published, I don't know, January 22nd, January 23rd. Sister Lucy Truth took 3 weeks to respond to me, and they did so in the head person, Dr. Peter Hornofsky. And it was 10 pages of trash. I'm sorry, I'm just going to call it what it is. 10 pages of trash.
Well, you're honest.
And brutally so in this case. Like I said, I got a bad back. I'm not going to. It was trash, and I charitably called him out on it. He published it, I think on a Friday, if I remember correctly, back in February. And I had a response up within 24 hours. That's how bad it was that I could respond. He accused me of all kinds of terrible things, gaslighting among them, and banking that people weren't going to actually get a copy of the 1988 book. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, you didn't check the footnote in my article, did you? Because I very clearly put a link to where people could click on it and go directly to the Biblioteca Nacional de España and order the book, So I reiterated the case in point, and this time I provided photo evidence of the pages in question. I said, here you go. Here's photographs of the pages. One of them is a picture of me holding the 1976 book, saying, nope, I got it right here. So it was just... And this is the organization that has solicited thousands. The only number I know for sure is like $25,000, I think. The bare minimum $10,000. They have solicited thousands of dollars to people, to the public. So, quote unquote, prove one way or the other if this was a fake Lucy or not. Yeah. And they couldn't even do a basic fact check of a hard copy of the book before publishing such salacious claims. And that's exactly what they were, salacious. But I guess whatever, floats your boat, I guess, whatever. But this is the organization that people are entrusting to believe that they know how to do their homework. And what made it especially damning is in the early years, Dr. Hornofsky touted on his personal blog, Radtrad Thomist, that they had one of the lead investigators, if not the lead guy, has family between Spain and Portugal, so he knows how things work over there. So I asked him, my thing is like, why didn't you check with him before? If he knows how things work over there between both countries, why didn't you check with him to get copies of these books before you publish this stuff? And all Hornofsky did was dig in his heels with me on all of this.
Wow.
He just reiterated. He didn't admit to anything except that he tried to push it off, slough it off all on me. And I was like, you know what? I'm not even going to really go down that route because the facts are what the facts are. And here's the photos of the pages in question. They don't say what you say. So you need to deal with that.
I'm glad you're very meticulous. We've got Bronca earlier said, so hard to be a devil's advocate and come up with questions when you know that it is real. I'll try and think of one. Bronca, come up. The link is pinned, man. We want to have you come up, play devil's advocate, Bronca. In the meantime, we do have the brother who came. He was here earlier, and I know you got to hear a little bit of the show earlier. And we have Daniel here. Again, Daniel is here. He's here to challenge you, Kevin. Daniel, how you doing, my friend? Did you have questions for Kevin?
Yes, I do. Hey, Kevin, how are you?
In pain, but otherwise okay. How about you?
You're about to get in more pain, Kevin.
Uh-oh.
So, Kevin,
uh-oh.
I want to prove to you that
we lost him. We completely lost him.
It didn't take me that long.
I hope he comes back, man. What happened, man?
I think it's StreamYard's bug.
Oh, it could be that bug, yeah. Like when, yeah. He'll definitely come back up, I hope. Yeah, he should be back up right now. You're scaring people off there, Daniel. You're scaring them off, man. It's scaring them off. I know people in the audience are probably... There we go. We got him back. You there, Kevin? You able to hear us?
My apologies.
No worries.
I hit the wrong button. I was like, oh, no, they're going to think I'm running away.
Can you hear? You can hear, right?
I hear you. You hear me?
Okay, good. There you go. Okay, go for it, Daniel.
That was my bad. I apologize.
So Kevin, I'm going to prove to you that Fatima is a demonic instance, okay? And I want you to hear my logic and criticize it. So first of all, Kevin, can I get from you that demons are smarter than us and they have way more wisdom than us and they have way more time to gather the wisdom, so it's very hard to outsmart demons? Is that correct?
Generally, yes. I remember you making this argument earlier today with Mr. Muse.
Yes, but I didn't have much time to elaborate on the argument. So and let me reiterate what I said before. Acts 19:15, the demons even said Acts 16 to 18, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, the woman with the spirit of divination. That's actually one of my favorite scripture passages, actually, because when I do work in the larger churches, theology of the private revelation, because I sat and listened to the podcast with you, Mr. Muse, and I was actually very glad that you brought that up as a talking point. Mr. Muse, I thought, handled himself extremely well, but I kind of knew where you were going with that one, and there is an answer to that particular question, actually.
Yeah. So do you agree that the demons were saying that these men have the path for salvation? So they're kind of tricking us, right? So
these men are from God.
Yes.
But what was the trick? Let me ask you that. What was the trick?
These men are servants of the Most High God who proclaim to you the way of salvation. So forget that.
So what's the trick? Let me ask you, what's the trick there?
Forget that it was a demon inside the woman. Let's assume the demon is outside the woman, and let's assume the demon said that, and let's say he was portraying himself as a saint. Do you have the wisdom on your own to know if it's a proper apparition or not?
I think you just ended your own argument as soon as you qualified it by saying on your own. And this is actually what I was going to say earlier, what I was driving at earlier, when I said there was an answer to that question. You forget that one of the gifts of the Spirit is knowledge. And that's how St. Paul knew. He had that gift of the discernment of spirits. That's not something necessarily that comes to man on his own. That is one of the specifically that the charismata, and St. Paul demonstrates that he had that in Acts 16.
Very good. Kevin, do you hold that? Do you have that knowledge? So if you were there with Paul and that demon said that, do you have the wisdom to know without Paul telling you?
I don't claim to have a specific charismaton, but I'm actually very good at psychic cold reading. Little known fact of my life. Because of circumstances of how I grew up, I am a very good reader of certain things as a result of these experiences that I had. And I only later did I find out that there's actually a term for it. It's called psychic cold. It's how fake psychics do their stuff. It's called cold reading. And so I actually do have that ability. And one of the ways that it manifests itself is I'm able to tell when people are being generally at least able to, because of course it's not a supernatural gift. I don't claim that. But generally speaking, I have a very high ability to discern if people are being sincere and genuine with me versus those that are just trying to, pull my leg or do something else. And again, I don't claim to have this as a specific gift of the Holy Spirit, extraordinary charism. It's a purely natural thing. Now, but when it comes to, do I have the gift of the discernment of spirits? I cannot claim that I have an extraordinary charism to that. No, I do know somebody that does, but I don't claim it myself.
Very good. Now that we established the baseline, so let's go to Galatians 1:8. Okay, in Galatians 1:8, but even if we or an angel from heaven, okay, so an angel from heaven, it means a messenger from heaven. It could be an apparition, it could be anything else. So even if we or an angel from heaven should preach a gospel other than the one who we preach to you, let them be under God's curse. That's step one. So in Fatima, would you consider this verse applicable there or not?
Well, first, you recognize that St. Paul is speaking hyperbole, right? Because when he says angel from heaven, obviously no angel, not one. They are angels or messengers from God, and they can only tell people what they have heard from God and what God has wanted them to say to us. So we have to accept, first of all, that St. Paul was being a little free, shall we say, with what he was intending to say there. You have to acknowledge that, because otherwise the verse makes no sense. No angel can say anything apart from the gospel of Jesus Christ. No good angel, that is.
Yes. But do you agree that the apparition of Fatima said things that are not in the gospel? It's outside the gospel. Is that correct?
Such as?
Peace in Russia and all the visions of hell, all that. Those are extra. Those are outside of Scripture. Is that correct or no?
Are you trying to say that hell is outside of Scripture?
No, I'm not saying it. I'm saying that she was showing, like, the apparition that you assume it's Mary. I'm telling you it could be demonic. I'm telling you that what she was speaking, it's outside of Scripture. There's peace in Russia. She's only talking to three people. The sun moved. All that, like, we've never seen the sun moving anywhere in the Bible. Is that correct?
If you don't include the reference to Joshua and the whole. They prayed and the sun stood still in the sky and allowed the Israelites to fight, unless you want to go that route.
But it never moved so fast, ever, in Scripture.
But that was still considered a soul of miracle of a different variety. But soul of miracle is not outside the realm of Scripture, first of all.
Yeah. So I'm gonna throw another verse here. 2 Thessalonians 2:9. Okay, in accordance with how Satan works with all kinds of counterfeit miracles, signs, and wonders. Can you apply this here?
Well, this is part of the discernment. I mean, first let me say I acknowledge what you're saying. I understand it, because there are fellow professionals in this field. One of whom comes to mind, actually, that I disagree with professionally about where to start. There's a certain group of people in the church that take the position your starting point should be to believe claims of alleged private revelation and then work towards doubt or skepticism if things allow for it. That's not my methodology. My methodology is pretty much, in other words, they advocate shoot first, ask questions later. And I say, no, ask questions now and then shoot, and only shoot if you need to. That's how I take it. And so you have to, even back then with Fatima, let's go back to 1917. Even the parish priest was drilling the children. And he said something to her, well, it could be the devil, which at that point, as of June of 1917, yeah, who knew any better at that point? That's how discernment works. You have to be cautious. What's prudence but right reason in action? So you have to be cautious with these things from the get-go. You don't just automatically believe and then not. Then no. I personally don't go with that.
Yeah, okay, so now I have a question. I'm sorry to interrupt, Kevin. Now I have a question for you. So to me, I want you to see it from my perspective. That apparition is trying to make people pray for the apparition itself. Okay, now you're assuming it's Mary. I'm assuming it's a demon. So that apparition wants people to pray for the apparition, right? By people doing that, they're worshiping a god or a goddess in this case, because so it's bringing people away from God, right? And the visions were visions of hell, which demons have perfect access to, compared to angels of light, if you want to call it. So I would say it's much easier for a demon to show someone hell than for someone divine to show someone hell, because that's where they live and that's where that's their house. And I want to go to 2 Corinthians 11:14 as my final verse. No, and no wonder, for Satan himself masquerades as an angel of light.
He does, yes. I there's no disagreement there.
So now,
so the question is, how do you know if this is the devil or not? That's the beating heart of the question that you're posing with all the scripture verses you brought up.
Yes, and because I don't believe in Mary, then worshiping Mary is bringing people away from God and losing the focus of God. Hence, it's demonic to me. But to you're assuming that Mary is going to bring you closer to God, so it's okay to worship another person besides God. So to you, it passes your test.
Well, see, but that's the thing, though, is I don't know entirely what your background is, but I would even go further with you and say that you seem to be thinking that somehow there's worship of Mary going on here. That's an issue unto itself, which I'll put that in a box for now and go to to another point. Is that you brought this up early with Mr. Muse during the episode of the podcast with him, and I remember I was laying here in my bed and I was just like, what? So I'm glad that I get to address this now with you. I don't know if I'm in theological agreement with you. Just when you say it's easier for demons to show hell than it is for heaven, or heaven to show hell when they could show heaven, I think that is very limited.
Kevin, can demons show heaven?
I think the short answer is it's possible, yes, because you have to put it because you need to understand how first of all how an image is formed. Are you familiar with how the ancient Christian tradition has developed this?
No, please explain.
Okay, this goes all the way back, ultimately really to the scriptures themselves, but through like Pseudo Dionysius, Augustine, and then Thomas Aquinas picks up on it and synthesizes it through the scholastic method, and then it gets picked up even in such heavyweights as like Teresa of Avila and St. John of the Cross. There are the three modes or the three ways. You have like the visible eyes, the senses. Then you have your intellective visions and your imaginative visions, and it's entirely possible for the demons to deceive people on the sensible and the imaginative levels. The intellective, it's a lot harder because that's where God acts very directly on the human intellect. And that's a lot harder. I think there's even some of the writers, the Christian mystics have argued that it's hard to the point where it's not possible for the demons to do that. I don't know. I'd have to look into more, so I'm not going to make any straight up claims about that this evening. But imaginative is the category that the Catholic Church has put Fatima in. And that's where we get into a lot of wiggle room. Because visions and phenomena, they go, I classify them according to what I call the three ages: heaven, hell, or human. And hell can act upon an awful lot in the preternatural area, and imaginative visions is one of them. However, what are imaginative visions? I had a whole paper that I delivered at the Pensar Fatima conference on this several years ago. And it was discussing this in light of what Cardinal Ratzinger said in his theological commentary to the third part of The Secret of Fatima. And imaginative visions is when images are already in your mind. So forgive me, I hear you speak with a slight accent. Are you in the United States or are you in another country?
I'm in the United States, but I'm non-denominational.
Okay.
And I dislike the Catholic Church so much, but that's personal.
You what, the Catholic Church?
I dislike it.
I see. Okay. Okay, so if you're here in the States, have you ever gone to a store or have you ever played the game Scrabble?
Yes.
Okay. So it's kind of like a game of Scrabble, where you have all these tiles in front of you with letters on them, and the way you arrange the letters spells out a word. That's how imaginative visions can work. There are pre-existing images or phantasms in Thomistic philosophy and theology that are already in the mind that have been received through the senses. Because Aquinas is building himself upon Aristotle's. There's nothing that's in the intellect that was not first in the senses principle. And so God can act upon images that are already in our minds in order to communicate something to us. And anybody who has, how should I put this? Not every Christian is a mystic. Not everybody is like this incredible, like a St. Padre Pio or some really but I do believe at some point God will speak to all Christians at some point in their life in some way. Sometimes it's through a song or through a friend, or they're reading the scriptures, maybe Lectio Divina, different ways that God will communicate. But one of the ways that it happens is he takes advantage, he utilizes, he divinely coordinates, is how there's the English translation. Divinitus ordinantur, I think is the Latin in Aquinas. He divinely coordinates things in the person's mind to spell out that message that what God is trying to reveal to them. And it's a confluence of the supernatural, which is only God, and have in like the God realm, like heaven, angel saints, that can communicate with another soul, in usually people still living, I'm talking about. And so there's room for error in that, because there's the famous quid recipitur expression. What is received is received in accordance with the mode of the receiver. So sometimes it gets messy, but the general principle is God can take things in our minds and spell out something for us, so to speak. And I like to use the Scrabble example whenever I'm talking about this, because most everybody knows the game Scrabble. And that is oftentimes what happens. And that is the category that the Catholic Church
with all due respect, you're scrambling here. So, Kevin, let me just finish this with this. Do you agree that if the sun moves this fast, if the sun actually moved the way it did, then the waves, the magnetic fields, everything on Earth, it would be a disaster? So it's a trick.
Do you believe in miracles?
I know. Okay, a miracle is if you heal someone, if you like, for example, when they said that Muhammad split the moon in half, do you believe that the moon actually got split because the sea would have had a tsunami if that happened, right? So it's an optical illusion, right? It's an illusion. It didn't actually happen. It's impossible for the sun to move that fast so many times and nothing get affected on Earth.
Well, that's the thing. That's one of the things, and there's actually a whole debate on this. And Mr. Muse is, and there's a gentleman named Bernardo Mota over in Portugal who's done a lot of good work on all these matters. Specifically, how could this have worked? I think generally everybody agrees that the physics would, if the straight laws of physics were applied, sun's going around crazy like that, there'd be a lot more disruptions.
Okay.
But again, if you are, well, no, not necessarily, because there's a difference between trick and a miracle, unless you want to include miracles as tricks.
So then it's an illusion, Kevin, because it didn't happen. So people saw it. It's something in the. So if it happens, it's going to have damage in the earth. It didn't happen because because otherwise we would have had damage in the earth. So it's an illusion. Something like this motion is what people perceived in their mind rather than what happened in real life, right? And
I'm more than happy to see that there's a group of people who have studied this and do conclude that. That it wasn't a strict solar phenomenon because everything would have happened physically the way that it is. I don't question that. What I do think is I think you're lumping in some things here together that should be, strictly speaking, separated. Because if you do believe in miracles, and if it's all just an illusion, how do you explain people who have had legs fixed? How do you even explain the miracles of our Lord?
These are okay. These are I can acknowledge those. But when you move the sun 5 times, that's a trick. There's no way it's gonna happen unless you made the people perceive in their mind that the sun moved. It doesn't happen. If it does, then you need to sustain everything on earth, and everyone else would see it, but no one else saw it except the people there at Fatima. So it's only them.
Well, that's not true either, because there was that gentleman in the observatory who was many miles away who did witness it. And this has been attested to. So it wasn't just like mass phenomenon or psychosis or mass suggestion. Somebody witnessed it many miles away even.
Kevin,
who wasn't even looking at it.
Can you acknowledge that at least you're going to have trees that are going to die if the sun moves this fast?
I think what I would, again, if that happened by the straight laws of physics, perhaps. But because you're talking about a miracle, and there are experts who are still working out how this could possibly have worked. I don't really think that you are. I think you're lumping all of this stuff in when there should be strict separation or distinctions.
Okay, then name me one miracle that Jesus did that proves that you can move the sun, move the moon, split the earth. Name any star that got closer, any magnetic force that happened that would affect someone that Jesus did. Show me one, and I'll concede.
Jesus says in the Gospels that you witness me do these things, and greater things than these you shall see and do.
Yes.
So I fail to see your point. If this is going to happen, greater things would happen than what even Jesus did on earth. There's a very wide variance there out of our Lord's own mouth. So did Jesus, wave his hand and do all that? No, but I do remember other things where calming the waves and the wind and all that. So obviously demonstrating control over the weather. That was a pretty extraordinary phenomenon. And so I don't think that there's room really to argue that God couldn't, in some way. Again, I grant you, it's a mysterious way. People are working this out. Like the work of Father Stanley Jackie and I can never remember how to pronounce that poor gentleman's name. Bernardo Mata's been doing some good work on it. Deleur, that Mr. Muse referenced earlier, they do good work and all of that. But if you're talking about a bona fide miracle, you're automatically going to be talking about the suspension of certain laws, because obviously the sun doesn't fly around the sky or dance, as people say it. That's a very obvious conclusion. So how then could life on Earth, if it truly happened that way, where it was physically moving, how could life have been sustained on Earth? How would the solar system not gone out of whack? That's all. These are all questions that are currently being asked by competent people in this field. Like I said, I've referred you to some of them. Mr. Muse, I think, knows even more about it on the specific area than I do. But I would encourage you. You're talking about a miracle, and whatever way God could have acted to have such a thing take place, we could debate that till the cows come home. I'm ready. I would be perfectly happy to say, again, he could have acted on people's imaginative, on the imaginative side. I'm perfectly happy to go with that argument if people could provide the evidence and sufficient proof of it. But at the end of the day, there's a lot of accompanying phenomena too. Like my friend Rick Salbato once put it to me this way. May he rest in peace. He's been gone 10 years now. He said, Kevin, the real miracle at Fatima was not the sun going around the sky. And I said, oh. He said, Kevin, it was the fact that the people's clothes were bone dry. He's like, you can't explain that one. And I was like, huh. I never thought about it that way, Rick. And I brought that to people's own thoughts over the years, because even if there was some kind of illusion that originated by God for people to see this, other things took place that confirm it. And when you take everything as a total package deal, it all points towards the divine as being acting upon it. And so, yeah, and it doesn't lead to things like worship of Mary or anything. I mean, if anything, Our Lady tries to tell us she's there to point us to her son.
It does. Everyone prays for Mary after that. So they're all praying for Mary. So that's the problem that we have.
Well, they were people openly confessing their sins. That's not necessarily praying to Mary.
Okay. I think I said what I had to say. William, do you want to say anything?
Well, I'll offer pushback by saying there's nothing wrong praying to Mary. Nothing wrong with that, because we find many examples of saints being the recipients of prayer. Now, in terms of saying that Mary in and of herself is the one answering prayers from her own power, well, of course, that would be problematic, but very clearly saying that Mary is people are praying to her so she can intercede for us. Well, that's a very biblical concept. The Archangel Raphael was very clearly prayed to. He is the recipient, taking the prayers of Tobit and Sarah in the book of Tobit. And very clearly, the elders in Revelation 5 are also receiving the prayers from the earth. So even if Mary is the recipient of people asking for intercession, it's a totally biblical concept there. So I reject your idea that there is any kind of Mariolatry occurring here at all.
I see. Well, I stated my case, Kevin, and I hope I wasn't disrespectful.
Not at all.
No, not at all. You've actually. I appreciate your discourse, because I don't often get to hear people at this level of respect. It's one thing for people to have respectful disagreements and then go out and have like a beer or something afterwards. And you strike me as the type of person that we could probably do that. If we all lived together, we could go out and have a beer at a local bar, pub or something.
I think you could, and he is closer to you in Texas than you realize.
Oh.
Yep.
Are you in Texas, Ms. Daniel?
I am in Dallas, yes.
Oh, well, that's right. That came. No. That was another one. No. Okay. Yeah, I'll just say this. I'm about maybe 3.5 hours away. I'll just say
Catholic, Kevin. So your psychic skills might have failed you tonight, because I love my Catholic Church.
He's a Catholic. He's playing devil's advocate, brother. Your psychic skills didn't work tonight.
Well, but I also didn't tell you that a lot has to do with how I pay attention to body language. So, that's the other half of it. But
Daniel, tremendous job. Thank you, Daniel.
All right, thank you both.
God bless you, brother.
All right, have a good night.
That guy is a tough cookie, man. I tell you that. He's a tough cookie. He's very, very good. He's very incredibly sharp. Now, how are you feeling? You okay? I know you said depending on how you felt, we'd go another maybe half an hour, another hour.
I'm actually good. Yeah, I'm good.
Let's do it, man. Let's keep going. I love it, man. All right, then and we'll go backstage in a moment, audience, for people. Go ahead, brother.
I have to ask, are you all pulling my leg, or is he really Catholic, or are you all just pulling my leg?
Oh, he's a devout Catholic as can be.
Okay.
He loves Mother Mary. Oh, yeah. Oh, we're not pulling your leg. People think that we're... Daniel thinks I'm lying. Daniel is a devout Catholic. Can anybody in the audience... Can people in the chat just put... Can you confirm Daniel is a devout Catholic? Oh, he's a devout Catholic. In fact, the guy might pray the rosary more than most people I know. Very devout.
Did you run into him at the Conference of Trent?
No. Really wanted to. Unfortunately, when that conference occurred, in fact, we were going to meet up. He was out of the country when that conference occurred. But pretty soon I'm going to be back in that neck of the woods very soon, and definitely going to meet up with him. No, he is devout. He's a devout Catholic. See, there you go. Yeah.
No, am I reading that right? BHI?
No, he's not PHI. He's not a Black Hebrew Israelite, though. He's not.
Oh, Black Hebrew Israelite. Oh.
He's not. No,
Okay, my mind went to the gutter, and I was, is he bi? I was like, oh, okay, my mind went right to the gutter. I'm sorry.
No, man. All right. Oh, here we go. Lena Molina's asking, what is the strongest pushback against Fatima by either Protestants or any Orthodox? What do you think is...
Well, because I have been specializing more in the third part of The Secret of Fatima, I can't say that I am as well versed in answering this question directly, but I do know it kind of came up earlier with Mr. Muse earlier today. Sure. And I would defer to what was said there, because I don't know it as well as he does, because he's addressed more of those ends of questions than what I do.
Ethan's gonna take your throne, man. You can watch out there, man. He's gonna take your throne.
I have to admit, I was very impressed. I was like, wow, okay. Even I have to make sure I'm keeping on top of things.
No, I've been emailing away with your throne, man.
I've been emailing with him, and we were talking a little bit about the fake Lucy stuff, and I sent him some links on stuff,
No, I know you've been dialoguing with him and what have you behind the scenes. I didn't want to announce that on the air, as you've told me that privately. But yeah. No,
well, I'm all right if I don't mind. I don't mind saying something, but
no, Ethan is incredibly sharp. We're very happy to have him.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, this guy is he's no slouch. He's got mad respect from me.
The guy's tremendous.
So I can say that it's a lot of in my personal experience. What I've mostly gone through is it's kind of like what Daniel was saying. It's this general approach to how you all think you worship Mary. So in the Protestant side of things, you'll get a lot of attacks on Fatima from that background and that perspective.
Right.
On the Orthodox side, the one that you'll find the most is the discussion on Russia.
Yes.
And I know Father what was his name? Father Josiah Trenham.
Right.
Is that the name? Okay, good. He had a meeting, or he had a visit with the King of Portugal.
Ridiculous argument. I know where you're going.
And he talked about this, but believe it or not, and it still blows my mind to this day that I actually got this document about 3-4 years ago. I actually got the original Latin text of Father Joseph Schweigel's presentation to the Council of Fathers at Vatican II on Fatima.
Wow.
Of all people, Frère Francois de Marie des Anges sent me that document. I still to this day can't believe he actually did it, but he did. And I have the emails.
Wow.
And right there in that document, I don't have the Latin in front of me, but off the top of my head, he expressly states that after he met with Father Joseph Schweigel, for those who don't know, he was tasked by Pope Pius XII to go to Coimbra, where Lucy was living, and ask her a set of questions. I think they were like 30-something in total. And she answered them, and he went back, gave his report to Rome, whatever, and then with Second Vatican Council was going on, he wrote a 4-page report and distributed it among the Council Fathers.
Sure.
And one of the things that he said was that the conversion of Russia does not mean the conversion of the Russian Orthodox Church to Roman Catholicism. He said that's not what that means.
I heard that. Yep.
And so that goes with what Father Josiah and the King of Portugal were talking about. But that's one of the biggest things that you're going to find among the Orthodox is, what does that mean?
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that everybody's just going to, bow down and kiss the papal feet, the papal shoes. That's not necessarily what Our Lady was talking about. Sister Lucia was very, very clear in her book, Como Vejo a Mensagem, that conversion means to go from one thing to another, usually from like a bad to a good.
Mm-hmm.
And she was talking about that in general terms, but it doesn't mean the conversion of Russian Orthodoxy to Roman Catholicism. That's not what that means. And so I hope our Eastern Orthodox brethren learn more about this so that they understand better what that part of the message was all about. Now, Our Lady is the mother of the church, East and West. She is honored and venerated in both lungs of the church.
Sure.
She wants all of her children to come together. And the reunion of East and West is something that is a long way off. Even heaven
Right.
acknowledges this.
No, there's no doubt. And the fact that there are some Eastern, not all, but the fact that within Eastern Orthodoxy, it's becoming even more prevalent to deny the Immaculate Conception is a problem, though. That's an issue. And
it is.
People like Father Josiah will take what you just said right now, and he will celebrate what you just said, and he will weaponize what you just said, because what you just said right now is something for him to celebrate. You just affirmed that Fatima, well, it isn't positive testimony for Catholicism. He's going to hear you and he's going to take that. Okay, well, Kevin says Fatima's not positive testimony for Catholicism. We can continue believing the way we believe, and we can even deny the Immaculate Conception. Now, I don't think you believe that, but
if but I would then turn around and go, well, Father Josiah, then how do you explain the very papal-centric aspect of the visions?
There you go. But you need to add that, Kevin. You didn't add that. You need to add that particular nuance to it. You didn't add that, so it puts ambiguity there, and people like Josiah are going to weaponize it, and they're going to say, "Well, look at Kevin, one of the top experts."
If he was in conversation with me and he like or public like what we're doing now, if he tried to weaponize it, I would say, okay, Father, either you're not a very good theologian, you don't know how to make very good distinctions, with all due respect, or
there you go.
Or I'd say you're trying to hype something up without getting the rest of the picture. Because at the moment we're talking about, well, then that's sad. I'm sorry to say.
I agree. And I called him out on it.
I personally like his very calm demeanor and his style. But I'm not. But I try to point out the positive on things. But at the same time, if he's going to try to not compartmentalize and recognize the fact that at the moment we're talking about what does that aspect, not the whole thing, that just one piece of the message, we're up against everything else. If he's going to weaponize that, I'm sorry, Father, but that's just a very foolish argument given how papal-centric the whole thing actually is.
I like that. There you go, man. Get fired up, man. I like it, man. I like it, brother. Liz is asking that you're going to end up seeing. Look, man, I know your back gets hurt. You're going to end up hurting your back even more by laughing at the pictures that these people have of me. That is not
oh my goodness, we got a mohawk.
They're going to have you throwing out your back worse.
Wow.
Which books would you?
I'll be careful.
You be careful, because then they're going to do what they did to Father Coppins yesterday. Which books would you recommend for Our Lady of Fatima, or just for Marian apparitions in general? Well, I recommend all your books, but what would you recommend in general for Liz?
Well, with Fatima, let me ask Liz, are you talking about pious religious books or scholarly things that that your eggheads like me would read? There's a distinction.
I think she would mean like an everyday person kind of book, maybe not so scholarly. So
then I would recommend the Memoirs of Sister Lucia. Always read what Sister Lucia herself has said in her own words. Always. If you know Portuguese, even better. The Carmelites of Coimbra's biography, Pathway Under the Gaze of Mary. I recommend that one very strongly. There's a new one that just came out, but it's only in Portuguese right now. I think it hasn't come out in English. Viva na Luz de Deus, written by Father Leito and Sister Angela Coelho. Sister Angela is the vice postulator for the cause of Sister Lucia, and that book Viva na Luz is based upon the 60-year diary that Sister Lucia kept. And I'll reveal this on here. I have a functioning English translation of the book.
Whoa!
And I will tell you all that there's an awful lot in that book that is just beautiful. It actually goes back to the fake Lucy stuff. One of the reasons why I really, really want an English translation to be published of this book is because it really helps us to understand Lucia on her own terms. There are people who have made her out to be larger than life, and I find this particularly true among Sedevacantists and some of the radical traditionalists.
Sure.
I hate using that term, but it is what it is. I say it not out of disrespect. I use it as a term of convenience. They've made her larger than life. They don't actually know who she truly was. I call it the comportment argument.
Okay.
In my in the draft of the book on the fake Lucy stuff that I'm working on, I call it the comportment argument. So it's when you read what she actually says. As a matter of fact, we actually have a letter from her that she wrote, or a document from her, in which she talks about how when she was with the Dorotheans, some of the mothers got upset if she closed the chapel windows, the windows in the chapel, whereas others wanted them open. And she's like, well, I can't please everybody, And I'm like, yeah, exactly. You can't please everybody. So she just went about her business and did what she needed to do, as best as she understood it. So people have to know Lucia for Lucia's own sake, but never apart from the divine. Because you were talking about a woman who had an incredible experience of God from her youth, and which continued on throughout the rest of her life. So we have to. I advocate very strongly that we're in a new era of Fatima studies. That we're in what we can call the Lucian period, the Lucia period, because when she died, her documents passed to the Carmel of Coimbra, and of course now her cause is currently progressing in Rome.
Sure.
And so she sat on so many documents, and we have access to them now gradually over time as things are getting published. Like, for instance, Viva la Luz de Deus and the Carmelites biography. And so get these books. They're just really, really solid. I advocate, of course, for the Portuguese books, if you read Portuguese, because I find that some of the English translations are not always the best.
Right.
So with respect to the first, for example, the first edition of the Pathway into the Gaze of Mary book that came out in April of 2015, I think it was April, May, somewhere there in 2015, there was a fatal flaw in one of the translations of Our Lady's words. And I was given a copy of the draft of the book before it went to before it was published, and I noticed that problem, and I brought it to their attention. And unfortunately, it was too late to do anything about it. They had already given final approval to the printer, so they were planning a second edition, and they did update it, I think, in the second edition. But unfortunately, it caused some controversy, and I was like, this could have been avoided.
Now, the brother AB likes your stuff, man. He says, I love the honesty, AB. I'm glad you're enjoying it. The brother Kevin is very transparent and honest. And because of that honesty, we'd like to know, what do you think? Because the brother Jimmy does want to know. And I've heard of this website too. By the way, brother Jimmy and AB, thank you for your support, brothers. Jimmy is asking, what do you think of AmericaNeedsFatima.org? Is that a reliable website? Is that a bad site?
There are different organizations that help to promote Fatima.
Okay.
And I personally am more familiar with the official organization, the World Apostolate of Fatima, aka the Blue Army of Our Lady of Fatima. So I do more with them than I do the other organizations. I know about them, but because of, I don't want to say a sense of loyalty, because that sounds wrong. But like, I know more. So, for instance, like I know Dave Carollo, the executive director of the Fatima of the Fatima Shrine in New Jersey, and Barb Bernster, who does a lot of their media stuff, and she helped to edit the book Pathway into the Gaze of Mary. And I knew Deacon Bob Ellis before he passed away a few years ago. He was the national coordinator, I think was his official title. I can never remember. I always get that mixed up. So I knew them before I really got to know all the other organizations.
Okay.
So I know more. I could tell you more about the Blue Army. I'm not saying that what the other groups do is bad or anything. I'm just saying I only know more. I know more about the official apostolate from the church than I do the others.
That's a fair one. And we had Elena back here. Elena dropped off. Elena, I don't know if you're going to be able to come back, but Elena was asking. Shout out to Elena. Thank you for your support. God bless you, Elena. She was asking, as my cat goes wild and beats me up, and another picture of me.
Oh, wow.
I do not know much about Our Lady of Fatima. Why is Mary called this also? Also, why do you think that many saints make their first appearances to children, like Lady of Lourdes, St. Joseph, Lady of Fatima? Yeah, it's a good question. You have done very deep research into why do you think they make their first appearances to children?
Well, there's two parts to hear that. Why is Our Lady Mary called this also? Does that mean
Right,
Our Lady
there
of
you
Fatima?
go. Duh,
Okay.
yeah, my bad.
Well, because she appeared at Fatima, and that's just a customary thing that's given. If Our Lady gives an apparition, has an apparition, she appears somewhere. That's how
let me just
refer
briefly
to it.
interrupt and ask you: is she also called Our Lady of the Rosary, or from Fatima, or is that not?
Our Lady called, I am the Lady of the Rosary.
Okay,
I think that was part of it.
Gotcha. Okay, go ahead. Sorry for interrupting.
So that's a customary thing. So like when Our Lady of Lourdes, Our Lady of Fatima, Our Lady of La Salette, it's just something that just happens to help point out that she appeared here.
Sure.
And then the second one, I think Donald Anthony Foley gives a really good answer to the second half of this question in one of his books. I think it was the Marian Apparitions book. He talks about how, and Foley, by the way, solid guy, solid writer. He talked about how it's easier to communicate information through the innocence of children than it is sometimes with adults. Because with adults, sometimes it gets really messy. So I actually have an example that comes to mind, but I might get in trouble for this. Some years ago, I was working on a particular case of private revelation, alleged case of private revelation. And as it turns out, the central figure to these particular claims has an Amazon account. And their wish list was public at the time. I remember coming across that wish list and shocked to find that there was a book on there that this was on this person's wish list that basically how to like mind control people, something like that. I don't have the document in front of me or the wish list, I should say, but it was something along those lines of how to manipulate people, something like that through whatever. Well, if somebody is claiming to have private revelations and you want a book on your Amazon wish list that is about that kind of stuff, you got to start asking questions. It calls into question the credibility of these claims. With children, you don't have to worry about that. One of the biggest obstacles you may have is, well, do they really understand what's going on? Or are they just making this up? Is this just a child's game? Or what are they playing at here?
They have no political motivations. They have no...
exactly.
Yeah, there's no political motivation there. I'm reminded of the words of our Lord in the Gospel of St. Matthew, chapter 18, verse 3. Unless you turn and become like children, you'll never enter into the kingdom of heaven. I mean, that's a great point you're making there. That's a great point. And the one thing that I really do think of, and it came to mind right now, and I wrote it down as we were talking, is that you find that very often in sacred scripture, Elena. By the way, Elena, thank you for the fantastic question. You find in scripture very often the pattern where God will very often choose the humble, will choose the lowly. You find it in the Old Testament. David, the shepherd. You have it in Samuel, the child, in Jeremiah, who was a youth. Then you got in the children who are welcomed by Christ. I mean, the fact of the matter is they're pure in heart. We're told that in the Gospel of St. Matthew. So, yeah, the fact that they are innocent, they're more receptive, I think that to me would make the most sense. You'd agree, I imagine.
Yeah, that's basically what Foley gets into. It's a lot easier to believe it from a child than when you have from an adult with a history, so to speak.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, you think of the famous apparitions. Yeah.
It doesn't mean that God or an angel or saint may not appear to somebody. That one of the things that this example I'm about to give is a larger context about discernment that I talk to people about. But if I'm a pastor of a parish and I've got some guy who's obviously homeless, alcohol, and there's reeks of alcohol. And he comes up to me and says, Mary appeared to me and I've got to, she gave me a message, blah, blah, blah. Right off the bat, I'm not going to necessarily be inclined to believe this guy because he's drunk or I smell alcohol.
Yeah.
Does that mean that Our Lady didn't appear? No, I can't say that either. That's one of those situations where you have to see what happens. Things have to bear out. The fruit have to become manifest, and that takes time. And that's why discernment is important, because it does take time. You can't just automatically assent to it. Now, if this guy talked to me about how he wants to amend his life, I'll talk to him about that.
Sure.
If it's based upon an apparition of Our Lady to him, I can't address that. But if he wants to make a sincere amendment of life and repent, I can work with that and go accordingly.
It's a great point there. And just to add to that, as I was adding, Elena, thinking of the famous Marian apparitions, it does make total sense. You think of, as you mentioned, the children there at Fatima, the children at Our Lady of La Salette, and there are many other examples. So that's a great, phenomenal point. And we have Elena back. We actually have Elena here with us. Elena, how you doing, Elena? I've never looked better, haven't I, Kevin?
Those the dreads?
Those are the dreads. Yeah, I had those dreads there at the Council of Trent conference. You don't remember, dude?
No.
I'm joking, man. Come on.
I know.
Kevin.
I'm like, wait a minute, hold the phone.
I don't have hair, man. What are you talking about, man? This is the most hair I'm gonna grow. Elena, I don't know if Elena's available. She might not. She might have stepped away. Yeah, you know.
Can you hear me?
There you go. Yeah, I can hear you there, Elena. How you doing, Elena?
Sorry, I literally just put our son Josiah down.
No worries at all. No worries at all. I've never looked better there. Look at that. Never looked better.
I have a few others. If you want to see those.
I think that's a good one. How you doing tonight, Elena?
Good. How are y'all?
Doing well. Thank you for being here. Yeah, what do you got in your mind?
So, and this is kind of that's what. Don't tell. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I still got one awake.
Uh-oh.
One second.
I call her kids the hurricanes, man. Oh, there she's back. There you go.
My kids are hurricanes.
Yeah.
It's working. It's not broken. I promise. Yes, this is kind of stemmed off early because like I said, I am not like heavy knowledge or anything. I'm actually more knowledge on the lady. Yes, I'm actually more knowledge on the Lady of Lords than I am the Lady of Fatima.
Okay.
Now, so Lady of Fatima, this kind of stems off of the Lady of Fatima because you hear the schemes of the devil, sending out, his like fallen angels or something, trying to also go to children first because they're like vulnerable. Is there any examples of this like ever happening? Pretty much it's kind of like Kevin, you were saying, that it's better to these saints to approach the innocence of children, but also children are also like vulnerable to, demons, easily vulnerable to that because they don't know any better.
That's in part because of their innocence. Think of like that movie Legend. I think it's called Legend, that had Tim Curry as like the devil figure, and I think Tom Cruise was in it too. The evil guy got them to take the horn off the unicorn, and it led to all kinds of problems, if I remember the plot of the story correctly. But that only happened because the evil guy in the movie took advantage of the innocence of those people. Am I totally off my rocker on that? That just came to my mind. I haven't seen that movie in years.
I don't think I've ever seen that movie.
I think it's called Legend. I think Tim Curry played like this demon character. I think it had Tom Cruise in it. It's from like the 80s, I think.
It sounds familiar. I'll have to look it up later. For sure.
But by the way, we both agree though. The demons could try to do stuff with kids, but largely in part because of their innocence. You try to take advantage of people who don't know any better.
Yeah. Our daughter specifically, we make jokes about it sometimes, because we have a 3 and a 2-year-old anyway. So our daughter will and sometimes in the middle of the night start talking to herself. We're like, what are you doing? She'll be in there talking to herself, and I'm like, I'll go check on her. She'll just smile at me, and I'm like, okay. Have you ever, because I know children, since Catholic Church believes it, me and my husband came from the Protestant Church.
Praise the Lord, you're home.
Yes, for sure. Do you know how those who are, have been baptized, I don't know if someone is assigned an angel from birth.
Guardian angels, yeah, that is the tradition of the church that we all have one.
Mm-hmm.
And they're assigned from like.
I think we lost her.
We did lose her. I don't know if her phone died. Yeah, that's a bummer.
If it died, she wouldn't still be in the chat, though.
No. It takes a few seconds for her to drop off.
Oh.
Yeah.
If there are signs that we have one?
Man, that's a bummer. Yeah, and that was a good one. That's a great question. The one on Guardian Angels. I don't know if her battery might have. I don't know. Faithful, did her phone die? I don't know what happened there. Yeah, but we all do have Guardian Angels. That is correct. Yes. You were going to say, brother. Go ahead. I'll let you elaborate.
I was just saying, and then I was going to let her continue for what you're saying. But yeah, that is a tradition of the church that that we all have a guardian angel. Yeah. I'm pretty sure I have one. I had something weird happen many years ago involving that kind of a question. So I was like, oh, yep, okay. But if I said it out loud, I might have people come after me because Father Chad Ripper said, and I'll be like, oh, please don't get me started.
Your guardian angel was created at the beginning of time, and there's no doubt about it. We've all got guardian angels. Yes, that's official Catholic teaching. AB, you rock, brother. Thank you for the support. And AB also says, also due to the natural law, parents can make kids more vulnerable to demonic influence. Ooh, I didn't know that. Now, here is
due to the natural law. AB, what do you mean by that?
Yeah, what do you mean by that?
The natural law is man's participation in the eternal law. So I'm not. Do you mean that in the philosophical sense, natural law, or do you mean that in some other sense?
He could, because he's a Thomist at heart. He might need that, like in a philosophical sense. He might need that.
Okay, then I'm not. You're gonna have to spell that out for me.
Yeah,
due to the natural law, parents can make kids more vulnerable to demonic influence. What natural law?
Yeah, he might mean in that particular sense.
Now, leaving the first clause out.
And by the way, AB, you're always welcome to join back here as well, and anyone else as well. God bless you all, faithful. Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what he means, but
the second part, parents can make kids more vulnerable to demonic influence.
Authority over children.
Absolutely.
Authority over children.
Oh yeah, they can lead them into bad things.
Absolutely, yeah. There's no doubt about that. Yeah.
I would agree with that. Yeah, they can. I mean, that's it wasn't authority of parents, but that's actually how we even got the famous exorcism case from St. Louis. The boy's aunt, I think it was.
Oh yeah, there's
no introduced him to the occult.
Oh yeah,
and that's how that case. Matter of fact, I'll give you an exclusive to you too. I actually had occasion to talk about that last year. I will not name the priest, but I will say he is a very famous priest in the United States, and he knew some of the Jesuits who were involved in that exorcism, or people that knew the exorcist, Father Bodern. I think Bodern. I can't remember his name. And a friend of mine knew that I was visiting with this priest. He said, "Kevin, could you ask Father blah, blah, Father X about?" So I was like, "Okay, yeah." And so I actually did it, and Father was very kind. He gave an audio message back to my friend, and with his own voice and his own words. So I didn't have to type anything up or nothing about quid chippy char on this part. Nope, here it is, straight from Father's own mouth. But yeah, and they said that according to what these Jesuits said to this priest that knew them, they said, yeah, Father Bodern, and I'll call it Father B. Father B had some of them were involved with they were helping tie the boy, like holding the boy down, but then other times they would hear noises coming out of the room. And they said that before Father B would say his mass in the morning, I mean, he looked like death warmed over or something like that. But then after mass, everything was fine.
My goodness.
And this was the witness of the people who were there at the time in the 40s.
Wow.
Through this priest friend of mine.
Now, Ari is asking, Jesus Talks Ari. God bless you, Ari. How you doing tonight? Ari is asking, Dr. Simons, if the third secret was fulfilled in 1981, why does the vision end with martyrdom instead of deliverance?
Well, first let me clarify. I do not have a doctorate.
That's right. That's my fault for saying that. That's my fault for saying that. That's right. Mr. Simons, there we go. I'm sorry.
If somebody wants to help sponsor me to get a doctorate, please, by all means, come talk to me. But I don't have the money for it.
Professor Simons, there we
go. It's not even the Vatican's. This is a classic blunder in some of the literature.
Oh.
When the Vatican released the text of the third part of the secret on June 26, 2000, in that booklet, The Message of Fatima, it was accompanied by interventions or allocutions, basically speeches by Archbishop Tarcísio Bertone and Joseph Cardinal Ratzinger, aka later Pope Benedict XVI. Sure. And also present was Dr. Joaquin Navarro Valls, the Vatican spokesman, portavoce, I think is the Italian. And they also then took questions and answers, and that ended the Q&A section. Was the last segment of the press briefing, the conference. And so Ratzinger was very, very clear to state that the third part of the secret was about the ills that would affect the church in the world in the 20th century. And that it culminated, culminato, I think is the Italian, in the assassination. Culminato does not mean fulfill. In other words, think of it this way.
Yeah.
When you read the text of the third part of the secret, it's very obvious. A lot of people are being martyred.
Sure.
The cross is the universal symbol of Jesus Christ. And there's more focus upon the bishop dressed in white being shot and killed, foi morto in Portuguese, who shot and was dead, foi morto. And Ratzinger took very great pains to say that there was no interpretation of the vision, and so they had to let time and events pass in order to put concrete realities on the images. He never said the third part of the secret was fulfilled in the assassination of John Paul II, but that was because it was a very open event. The Pope was very nearly assassinated.
Right.
And the text of the third part of the secret prophesies a Pope being shot and dying, and falling dead, I should say, for mortal. That's a very apropos image. That's a very fitting event that people could point towards it with the text of the third part of the secret.
Yeah.
Now, of course, the Pope didn't actually, the Pope, John Paul II, didn't die, whereas the literal text says he fell and was dead.
Oh, gotcha.
And that's where some of the dispute comes in. But but again, that's a matter of interpretation.
Sure.
It doesn't mean. So does it mean that he was going to be shot and was going to die as a result of it deliberately? Or does it mean that this is just representing of, is it specifically about this one event, or is it about a bunch, all these people combined? It's a matter of how you interpret it.
Mm-hmm.
And within some of the literature, some people say, well, no, the Vatican's interpretation is wrong because the Pope didn't die. In the text of the vision, John Paul didn't. In the text of the vision, he clearly lived. I mean, he clearly dies, I should say. But John Paul lived, so this doesn't work. But there's also another interpretation that's coming out. Some people say that John Paul I might actually be the more direct person, because if, as is being alleged right now in the public forum, he was trying to make efforts to clean up the Vatican, and if he died after the famous alleged meeting between him and Sebastiano Cardinale Baggio, they had a shouting match allegedly, and the night that John Paul died, and and John Paul's heart did that fight give him such a fright that he literally fell down dead. Fell dead on his bed. That's an open question right now. However, it has not been established that Cardinal Baggio met with the Pope the night of John Paul I's death. That's not established, and that's contended. If it turns out that was the case, then you have a very interesting interpretation that could happen there. So again, my point is, it all comes down to interpretation and what things mean. And at the time, Ratzinger said, Our Lady intervened. As John Paul said, it felt like a maternal hand guided the bullet.
Right.
And and this would have been done by the prayers of the faithful. So did people, and they talk about the conditional nature of prophecy. All that is very true. The theological principles that they espoused in the document and the presentation were quite sound. But because it didn't fit a preconceived narrative, people had problems with the text of this. So again, I don't subscribe that the assassination attempt fulfilled the third part of Secret of Fatima, and technically neither does the church. But nobody had access to the Q&A. If you didn't watch the proceedings and hear it for yourself, there was no transcript of the Q&A. We had the text of the booklet, we had the interventions, and that was it. But then the first edition of my book came out. I published a transcript of the Q&A, and so many more things were explained once I had that text in hand. And I was like, well, that's not what all these people that kept saying, Ratzinger said this, Ratzinger said that. Actually, no, I went back and looked what he said, and it was a much more expansive than that, which makes sense for Ratzinger, because he was such a brilliant thinker, and he had a wide breadth of knowledge on things. So for him to limit it to that one, no, that didn't make any sense when you really sit and think about it.
Now, would that tie in with, by the way, phenomenal question, Ari. Thank you so much. I don't know if you touched upon that, but she did also ask, I think you briefly touched upon it here, but she says, why is the only person in the third secret explicitly described as a bishop dressed in white instead of just saying it's the Pope?
Because the children didn't really know much about the papacy and the popes at the time. They were very young and still being catechized.
Gotcha. Okay.
That's how I personally understand it.
Okay. So they do say it's a bishop, though.
She said that we had the impression it was a bishop dressed. It was a bishop dressed in white. We had the impression it was the Holy Father, or it was that. But it would, the bishop dressed in white was how they specified it. Yeah. So that indicates that if Lucy was speaking at that time as her mindset of 1917, then she would have been sufficiently catechized enough to know how to identify a bishop. Or when she wrote that in her 40s, I take that back. In her mid to late 30s, I should say.
Yeah, right.
Was she interpolating what bishop dressed in white? Was she interpolating that what she knew from later life back on the text back into this text? That's a deeper, I say nerdy question of Fatima. But,
gotcha.
That's more of an egghead theological precise question. But
that's the good ones, yeah.
But at the end, the basic nuts and bolts is she did say in the text from 1944 that Bishop dressed in white. We had the impression it was the Holy Father.
Wow. And if anybody is the person to answer questions about the third secret, it definitely is you. We got Elena back. So glad. And Ari, tremendous questions. You always ask great ones. Elena, you able to hear us?
Yes, I'm able to hear you.
Now, was I right? Did it die, or it was like a StreamYard bug?
No, it was like a StreamYard bug. It kicked me out. I don't know.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you were saying, I think you were getting into something on Guardian Angels, and then you cut off.
So I assume, honestly, even at the point of conception, a guardian angel is assigned to that child.
Correct.
Because if a child dies, that also they would still have a guardian angel if they die in the womb, for example.
Right.
I mean, God bless whoever has gone through that. That's terrible. I know many women who've gone through that.
Yeah.
No, anyways, how, I guess, do we, because, the Lady of Fatima coming to children, obviously, is, praise the Lord, that's a blessing. How do we protect our children from also being vulnerable, because they're vulnerable to demonic activity?
Yeah, I would say, and Kevin, I'll let you follow up. I would say that the powerful message of Our Lady there, Fatima, is one of needing to repent, needing to turn to Christ, needing to pray the rosary, turning to Christ first and foremost. What would you say to that, Kevin?
Yeah, I would agree with you, but I'm not sure that goes directly to her question. How do we protect people? Right. Do you mean in the sense of
spiritual warfare? I think
spiritual warfare, or if an apparition appears to your child. Do you mean?
I'm talking about specifically, toddlers. They're starting to just I pray every night with into Father, Son, Holy Spirit with holy water with our children, and then pray with them. Our Father, Lord in heaven. We go through that whole prayer together with them every night. But they're not. They still don't know entirely. Yes, they're getting to know, but they still don't know entirely. So it's not like if I'm not afraid that my children are experiencing demonic activity. That's not why I'm asking this.
Yeah, no doubt. You're asking in general, and that's a great question. Now, let me give my thoughts, and Kevin, you can follow up. The one thing that I did very early on with my daughter was, and it's paying off big time now. Never would have imagined when she was younger, but I taught her how to pray very early. Taught her the sign of the cross incredibly early. The Our Father, the Hail Mary, even the Guardian Angel prayer. Now she doesn't know the rosary, not yet. She's still little, but you'd be shocked at how that will influence them for later on in life. Even real simple nightly prayer will go a very, very long way there. Another thing that I did very early on is, consecrate your home to Christ. That matters big time. Homes matter a lot spiritually. I don't think people realize that. I know you all do. I'm not saying you. A lot of people don't realize that have crucifixes in your home, blessed holy water, icons, sacred images. That, a lot of that stuff is really helpful, because I'm reminded of the words of the Bible in the book of Joshua, where Joshua says, and everybody's heard these words, we hear them all the time. As for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. Really center your house around worshiping God. And here's another thing that isn't as easy. They're young right now. They're little right now. Guard their minds as to what they can be exposed to. I know the iPad and those smart devices can really, they can cause issues later on in life. But Those are ways that I'd recommend in terms of, keeping the spiritual guardrails up, if you will. Kevin, anything to add to that, brother?
Yeah, first of all, I think you said it very well. I'd have to throw just a couple of points that kind of accentuate of that a little bit.
Sure.
Part of my job duties at my school is I teach 2 philosophy classes. So forgive me if I throw in Socrates in here. He talks about, sorry, I just had to move here and I have to reshift myself and make sure I'm going to be okay with my back.
No worries, brother.
So I'll sit up a little bit here first, I guess. You want to provide, pardon the expression, a safe environment. That's the whole purpose, even of one of the whole big things about marriage, even provide a just context for children, so that they can grow and learn what it means to be a human and to flourish. And that's the sacrament of marriage. Not the whole thing, but that's a good part. It's a sensible portion of its whole raison d'etre. There's reason for being, and part of that. Part of the challenges I think that we're facing nowadays actually goes to what William said a minute ago about the electronic devices. I take it back to what Pope Pius XI said in his encyclical Vigilante Cura, in which he talked about how he was building himself upon Thomistic and Aristotelian metaphysics here, but we have an active and a passive intellect. And he said even people who are not the most intellectually gifted can understand things by watching things in these cinemas and in movies, because it's feeding that passive intellect. We would say nowadays that you get zombified. That's kind of what Pius XI was talking about. We can zombify ourselves if we're not careful. We want to engage that active intellect, and we want to do it well, so that we're good, solid, critical thinkers as well. So part of that then also requires catechesis and making sure the children are raised in the sources of the faith as well. And I can't stress that enough, the importance of catechesis. First and foremost, as a witness, as with you and your husband, to the Christian life, and what that means in all of its glory and all of the particulars. And Socrates said that part of the idea is that you provide that solid foundation, you provide them with the good, so that when the bad comes, they know how to deal with it better. So like, if I may use an example, let's say a couple wants to get a divorce and they have young kids. Sometimes it's a temptation for the young children to think that maybe one of them caused it. What did I do that mommy and daddy don't want to do? Do they not love me anymore? Well, they're young. They haven't had that time to wax strong in goodness and all that means, and develop critically on some of the with things. But if they have that just context, they're that much better. And I come from experience. I've met people who are this way. There's a family up in Wisconsin, for instance. Actually, their son just had a birthday the other day. His name is Michael. I won't say the last name because I don't want to embarrass anybody. But I was always very impressed by this family. Very, very impressed. They seem to be doing things the right way, and their kids have struck me as being some of the most balanced people I've ever met. And so I come from, and I've also seen the other side of the spectrum, where you have people that didn't provide that just context, and they were a little far out there, shall we say, and it has a negative impact upon their children. So I've seen both. The idea is stick with the good, and we know the good to be the truth, the true, the beautiful, the good, Jesus Christ. And that requires us to go always deeper in relationship with him and communion with him, and in divine love, and clearly communicating that love to our children. As a teacher, I'm not a parent, I'm not married, I've never been married, don't have children. But as a teacher, I see it very clearly that sometimes they don't need me as a teacher. What they really need is just another human being to talk to. And I've seen some really solid kids in my teaching career, I've seen some that could be very solid and just need a little extra love because they've had adverse circumstances growing up. But a lot's going to flow from your spiritual life and that of your husband's. So start there, work with that and grow in that, and, let children be as God intended them to be. And if you provide that just context for them to live, correct when necessary, because you're always going to course correct. They're little kids. They're going to try to pull you. They're going to try to pull your chain. But just know if they know that they are loved, a lot kind of falls into place. Through thick and thin and through good times and bad. If they know that much, there's some other practical details that but I'm still actually kind of somebody I was talking about with somebody recently, but I don't have all the material yet, so I'll just pass on that, and hopefully that helps.
No, thank you all so much for your answer. No, my husband, I call him. He's the prayer warrior of the house.
I love it.
William, I know you know.
I love it. He's tremendous. He's amazing. He is. Definitely. We love it, Elena.
A lot of times I wish my prayer life was exactly like his.
Be patient. It'll come. He's a wonderful model. He's a fantastic model.
Well, and also think of it this way, and William knows you more than I do, but obviously both of you need to be praying for sure. But if he tends to be more of the prayer warrior, maybe there's something else. There's some other aspect that you are good at, and that you kind of act as the lighthouse to your children. Oh, yeah. Your husband may be good at the prayer warrior, and that's his lighthouse, if you will. And and that teaches the importance of, because that's how we maintain union with God.
Oh yeah,
through by communication with him, talking with him, prayer. So that's incredibly fundamental to the whole Christian enterprise. So yeah. if he's showing that, praise God and pass the ammo. You may not be the prayer warrior type. That doesn't mean you don't pray. I presume. But you might be good at, say, like Christian hospitality. I'm just talking. You might be good at that. I personally am convinced that with the way society and Western civilization is going these days, I think that good, honest Christians need to consider an open home policy. Now, let me explain. I kind of thought this beforehand, but I'll put concrete. I'll take it out of the realm of theory and I'll put it into concrete for you. Several years ago, I was dating this wonderful young lady named April. She was from Minnesota and she had a very large family. And they had what I call like a revolving door policy. The relatives could come over and they would talk and chat and raid the fridge and whatever else. They go camping together, blah, blah. I mean, you name it, these people did it. Card games were a big thing. And it really struck me. That was one of the virtues of their family and their extended family, was that people were invited, people to this home, and people felt safe. And if I meet the right woman, if that's what God wants for me, this is a conversation that her and I would have to have. I'd say, honey, I do believe in having somewhat like an open house, like where our children have friends, that the friends want to come over, let them, and we can talk and and
or fill your fridge with Diet Coke and I'll be over, man.
There you go. I don't think you want to drive several hours from you to me though.
Right.
But I would, if my back pending, if I can get out your way, I would love to, and we could do a in-person show together.
We'll do it soon. I'll be in that neck of the woods soon. I go to Austin all the time, but you're not near Austin. But
no, but I might actually be. I might be in Waco next month.
Okay, we'll definitely make it happen. We're gonna make it happen. We'll make it happen, brother.
Yeah. So just we're at the point is that hopefully I put that's a concrete image to what I'm talking about. But like the reason why I think that's important is because I used to work for St. Paul Street Evangelization. I worked with them for several years, and just They've really got it down when it comes to evangelization with their 4-step model of listen, befriend, proclaim, invite. They've got this thing nailed down to a T. And I helped in the online schools. I was part of the developing the online curriculum and producing it even through like Photoshop and Adobe and and all that. And that's part of what relational evangelization. Well, relational evangelization is only going to come about when you are engaging people, in person, and welcoming people into your home with some discretion. Of course, I'm not saying let every Tom, Dick, and Harry in your house, especially if you live with sus. But we talk about friends of children, friends of your kids or something. But and just be ready to talk to them about stuff and be open about that. That hospitality is a big thing. I'm a Benedictine oblate, so hospitality is within the Benedictine wheelhouse, and so I stress it very much in relational evangelization because I really think that's a key component on how to do these things these days.
And so her husband and her, they love the Franciscan tradition. They have great devotion to it.
I was educated at Franciscan University, but yeah, I'm Benedictine at heart, I have to say. When I was in Austria, somebody told me this hilarious story. The Franciscan University students go to the Franciscan sites, of course, and that includes the famous Porziuncular Chapel. And one of the girls that I was with, her family was Benedictine, and the other family were more the Franciscan side of things. And the dads were having fun poking jabs at one another, and they went back and forth, and then finally, how it got won. This little funny rivalry was the Benedictine dad looked over to the Franciscan dad and said, "Oh, by the way, the rent is due," because in the Franciscan tradition they pay the bucket of the barrel of fish.
Right.
The Benedictines who owned the Porziuncular Chapel. By the way, the rent is due, and that ended. It ended in laughter, but everybody had fun with it. But
Elena, was that helpful? Did you have another question?
Yes, that was helpful.
Wonderful.
My husband's more steered. He's mainly Franciscan, but I actually am kind of in the process of becoming a third order Carmelite.
That's amazing.
Ooh.
That's incredible.
That's a very solid one right there. I have a lot of respect for the Carmelites.
Oh yeah, that's incredible. That's incredible.
Well, see, right there, that tells me something about you.
If
you're more into Carmelite stuff, they tend to be more devotional and somewhat ascetic. So if you're drawn towards that, that kind of tells me a little bit right there.
Yeah, I'm really drawn towards it, and then their idea of service, definitely. I've always been, even when I was Protestant, I've always been geared towards serving people.
Mm-hmm.
It was always very what's the word for it? It just warmed my heart. Serving others.
Praise the Lord.
Yeah, is that in the cloistered or non-cloistered aspects of the Carmelite tradition?
So define cloistered. Sorry, I have a very
well. Some Carmelites live that charism of service in a hidden sense because they're behind the grill of a cloister. Other Carmelites don't have that tradition, being behind a grill, and they're more with people in general. So, of course, as a married woman, I presume you would not be, behind a grill type of thing. But that doesn't mean that you wouldn't necessarily borrow something from the first one that I mentioned there. So that's why I was just wondering if from the cloistered in the sense, so like Saint Therese of Lisieux, she was a cloistered nun. She wouldn't be allowed to go.
She's a big fan of her.
Yeah, I would say I'm more the hidden because I think maybe that's why the Lord put us in our particular situation that me and my husband are in. My husband actually has ALS. He has a tracheostomy. He was on here earlier. St. Francis Baby Toe is his future.
Yeah.
But so I actually care. I'm like my husband's nurse, even though I'm not a certified nurse, but
Yeah.
Caretaker,
Yeah, I'm his caretaker, so a lot of times getting out and like say serving the church in some way on Sunday, that a lot of can be more challenging. So I've and thank you for defining the Christian. I would definitely put myself more on the Christian side because I don't like you said, it's not like out, not that they're trying to be prideful and like say, hey, look at me, I'm serving these people, but it's more the devotion side and everything I find my myself on.
Beautiful devotion.
You would absolutely love, since we're here to talk about Fatima, I got to tie this all in with that then. You would absolutely love that book that I mentioned some time ago, Viva la Luz de Deus, Living in the Light of God. You would absolutely love that. That would be the book for you.
What's it called again?
I'm putting that in the chat. Let me put it right here. Living in the Light of God. There we go.
Yeah. Or it's Viva is literally an infinitive to live, but it's also said live. We turn it as a participle as well, but it's only available in Portuguese though. But if it comes out in English, you should really get that book because it puts a beautiful perspective on Sister Lucia's life, and we're getting so much more of the meat and potatoes. Like she suffered like nobody ever knows, and this book has really opened wide the doors to that. I noticed Sister Angela and Father Lathel were prudent in how they presented it. They didn't over-exaggerate it. And but there are those who are the easily excitables amongst us that would sensationalize some of that information. It's a dog and pony show if they try to do that. When you read it from the perspective of the Christian spiritual life, that book is beautiful because it's very chaste in its presentation, very modest. They don't overstate the case, but we're very clearly shown how much she suffered, including from ecclesiastical figures. They don't water that down in the book.
Wow.
How churchmen even made her suffer. I mean, so it's the hidden service is beautiful. That is an absolutely beautiful calling. And it's a very high calling. And if the book comes available in English, that book could serve as a beautiful guide to just how much of a beautiful calling, but a serious one and a sobering one it is. Because it could bring somebody to a very high level of holiness if it is properly lived. And that book, I think, will help guide people because it shows how to be faithful, even in the midst of trials and persecutions, even from people that you would have expected better from. I say this, it touches me a little bit because I've had stuff happen to me that I won't go into, and reading that book was healing for me in a way on that front. So I encourage, if the book comes out in English, I hope they get it out there soon. Or if maybe you do read Portuguese, I don't know. Or you may have a friend that knows Portuguese. It's a beautiful book. I strongly recommend it for that perspective on the hidden life of service.
Yeah, if it ever does come out in English, let me know, and I'll definitely announce it here.
Okay. Yeah, that most definitely. No, I do not know Portuguese. Wish I did now.
And everything good comes out in a foreign language, right? Although if you know Spanish, Portuguese and Spanish are quite close. You might be able to understand some of it if you speak Spanish.
There's still some differences.
I speak some phrases, but Nana Mike up there likes.
I am fluent in Spanish. There are significant differences there.
Yeah.
I know there. Yeah, there are.
Yeah, there's too significant to be able. I can't read a Portuguese book, and I'm fluent in Spanish. It's too many differences. I can understand a few phrases here and there, but by and large, there's too big of a difference.
Yeah, my Portuguese, my reading Portuguese is always better than my spoken or writing Portuguese, because my background in foreign languages has always been in service to theology. I'm not a polyglot for the sake of the languages themselves, but I got involved in languages in general so as to be in service to the larger work of theology. So when people ask, "Are you fluent in Latin?" No, I just know enough to be dangerous.
Elena, was that helpful, Elena?
Yes. Yes, that's very helpful. Do y'all have I've read a few from Saint Therese herself. The Little Way book. I forget what it's called, but it describes the household of Saint Therese of Lisieux.
Story of a Soul?
Well, yes, I've read that one too.
Oh,
but
okay.
there's another one.
About Saint Therese? Let me see.
It's about Saint Therese. It's about her. It's about the household.
Huh.
I have it right here.
I think I know which one you're talking about.
Story of a Soul is fantastic.
The Story of a Family, the home of Saint Therese of Lisieux.
I haven't heard of that one. I've heard of the Story of a Soul. Okay, Story of a Family. Let me look that up.
Reverend Father Stephanie Joseph Pyatt.
Oh yeah, here it is. It's on Amazon.
Does it have a green-looking cover to it?
The wording is green, like the title. But like the picture of it, of like the house on the cover, is like in black and white.
Okay, I'm trying to picture it in my head. I'll go to the almighty oracle of Google. I'll break down. Story of a Family, you said?
Yeah, the Story of a Family. And the subtitle's The Home of Saint Therese of Lisieux.
I gotta look at that.
I actually started at St. Francis Baberto bought me it for Mother's Day.
Very cool. Let us know how it is when you're done with it.
Oh, for sure.
There was a Tan Books edition of that at one point. Okay. All right.
It's a bigger one.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you for that, Elena. Thank you for that. I appreciate that.
No problem. But yeah, that was all my questions.
Thank you so much, Elena. Thank you for coming up. It was great talking to you.
Yeah, same here.
No problem, Nana Mike.
Have a great night. God bless you, Elena.
Thank you, Kevin. Thank
you.
Never look better than in those dreads, man. Look at those. Look at that, man. Imagine me with dreads, man. That's a great conversation, man. We've had some great questions tonight, man. We've had amazing ones from Ari, from everybody. Bronca. You got a few minutes left?
I do. Yeah, I can go for a little bit longer.
Yeah, let's go a little bit longer. Bronca asked earlier, and I missed it. I think he might have touched upon it. He said, Sister Lucia chose not to reveal the third secret in her August 1941 memoir. Why is that? You have any idea why?
She didn't have permission from heaven.
Oh, okay.
And there is a little bit of a question if she had permission to reveal it verbally to Bishop Jose de Silva, the Bishop of Leria, aka the Bishop of Fatima. There's some dispute over that, but she just wouldn't. She was just uncomfortable writing it down on paper. There's some question about that, but either which way, she didn't write it in the memoirs because she didn't have permission from heaven to do so.
Very good answer, man. I'm telling you, man, you know the stuff, man. You know the stuff. That's really good, man. Although I gotta say, Daniel had you in the ropes, man. Daniel's a good devil's advocate, isn't he, man? You admit he's a good devil's advocate, right?
No, he was quite good. I just, I would follow it up by saying that if he truly believed in what he was saying, I don't agree with that. I think that would be a mistaken argument about what miracles are. But
he's a faithful Catholic. No, totally faithful Catholic. Congratulations to Matt and Shannon. He says, I can officially say now a mini-me is coming. There you go, man. Congratulations, man. God bless you, brother. We're happy for you. Hey, I think he kind of alluded to it the other day, but then tried to press him, and I don't think he said, hey, congratulations. We're going to be praying for you, my friend. Definitely praying for you. And the incredible AB says, and we love the angelic doctor, explains authority over children is rooted in the natural law.
Yeah. Once he explained what he meant there.
You knew.
But
it does.
It is rooted in natural law because that's the structure of how it was established by God. And so, yeah.
Tremendous, AB. God bless you. Thank you for your support, my friend. And we got Ari back here. We got the heretic herself, man. Ari, how you doing? Ari, what's up, Ari?
Hello. How are you guys?
I could be doing better if I had Diet Coke. All right, if I had Diet
thank
Coke,
God.
Ari,
No, I know. I'm so happy when I came and I saw no Diet Coke.
What a
Thank
No
hater!
Diet Coke, William. My whole worldview of how I envisioned you was falling apart.
What? Oh yeah,
It's
can tell them
iconic at this point.
it is iconic.
It's amazing you don't have kidney stones.
Oh, that's don't do that, Kevin. That's just a total garbage, man.
You
Those
know
are
what?
myths, man. Those
I've
are
had
myths.
kidney
here's the
stones.
thing.
They ain't garbage. They are very
No, but
real.
you ain't
They
gonna
are
get
awful.
kidney stones because of drinking Diet Coke, man. You ain't gonna get them.
Okay, well,
drinking
Diet Coke is like poison, so
No, it isn't.
I don't
I'll
see. I
debate
don't
that.
see
All
any.
right,
I
I'm
don't
ready.
see any
I'm
benefits
ready.
of
All right,
drinking
all right.
Diet Coke.
Let's do it. I'm ready. Let's do it. Let's bring it on. Let's debate. Let's debate. I'm joking.
I'm not
Go
good.
for
I'm
it,
not
Ari.
here to debate, but
I know.
but listen, I am so glad that Kevin is not Team Diet Coke. Thank God.
Oh, what a hater!
That makes you respect him even more.
Where's my guy Abel?
When it
Ditched
comes
me
to
tonight.
soda, I actually prefer Diet Right. It tastes much the same, but it's like 0 calories, 0 sodium, 0
Thank
caffeine,
you.
and it's
So you do
really,
like
really
Diet
good.
Coke? You do like
What?
Diet Coke?
I don't drink it.
Oh,
I haven't had Coke since, oh gracious, at least 10, 11 years ago at least.
where's my guy Abel, man? Oh, there's Abel. We got somebody in the audience.
Of
That is
course.
Team Diet Coke.
Listen, he
There we
needs
go.
to find somebody that will agree with him. So
Oh, I barely saw.
look at that
Look
photo.
at that.
Isn't that
I've never
beautiful?
looked any better. There you go. Now I'm a Karen. I got.
The Karen of Coke.
Oh,
There you go.
my goodness,
There you go.
man.
All right, geez. Yeah, no kidding.
Go ahead.
But anyways, I do have a couple of questions for you.
Go for it.
So
Well, not for me. I'm chopped liver.
yeah, not for you. Yeah, sorry, William. It isn't about you anymore. Anyway, we got to talk to the expert here. So anyway, I know.
I'm gonna get some water.
All right, goodbye. Anyways, let's talk. No, just kidding. So I do have a question. So, in regards to Our Lady of Fatima, do you personally have a devotion to Our Lady of Fatima? And then, have you heard of like any benefits or anybody that if they do have a strong devotion to her, is there like anything that maybe you've heard, any stories that you personally have heard of people, who maybe has had a positive experience with having a devotion to her? I don't know if that question makes sense, but I hope it does.
You're asking me if I have a personal devotion to Lady of Fatima and if I've heard stories of effects of any devotion to her, either by myself or from other people.
Yes.
Okay. Yes, I would have to the first question. Yes. I would say it's a rather serious devotion. It was actually one of the first things I did when I'm a convert myself, and it was one of the first things I did was the 5 First Saturdays. And I can still remember an early conversation with my cousin Janet in the car going up to New Hampshire, I think it was. We were talking about it because I was already gone past the 5 months. And Janet kind of like hit me on the back of my head. And she was just like, well, she was from Massachusetts, so she was with the Boston accent. She was just like, well, she slapped me on the back of the head. She was like, well, no, duh, Kevin, that's the whole point of it. You're supposed to keep on going. I love Janet. My Aunt Jenny just passed away a couple of months ago, but I hold these memories near and dear to my heart. And so, yeah, I would say so. Yeah, especially with all of the stuff, the work that I do with Fatima. I never intended to set out to be a Fatima expert or anything. It just kind of happened from my work with the larger theology of private revelation in the church. In terms of the things that have happened as a result of Our Lady of Fatima and devotion to, historically, I know that there was the famous incident in Japan when the bomb got dropped, and those priests that were praying to Our Lady of Fatima, they miraculously were spared the effects of the blast. Everything around them was totally destroyed and demolished, except where they were, and that's documented. That's history right there, as far as I know, anyway. There are countless stories of healings. I don't know if things are a bit done differently over there than they are over in Lourdes with respect to any documentations of healings. So they don't have quite the same rigorous processes that they do in Lourdes. But things do happen. I have my own story of something that happened, but it's not a story that I can really get into. It's one of those things that it'll have people will come to know it when I'm dead.
Oh, okay.
Because it's not a story that I want told while I yet live.
Okay.
When I'm dead, that's one thing, but there's all kinds of stories that, I mean, when my friend Rick lived in Fatima, he knew of things things that he never told me about. I'm convinced that Our Lady has spared me on more than one occasion from some truly serious disasters, particularly while driving.
Wow.
There are times where I should have been in wrecks, and I could only think it was Our Lady protecting me with her mantle or something. I'm absolutely convinced.
Same as happened to Ari, though, right, Ari?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So you know what I'm saying, because nothing else makes sense. I should have been dead in an accident somewhere or for some other terrible thing.
Yeah.
Like, for instance, this is not an Our Lady of Fatima thing, but devotion, I should say. But there was a time in April of 2005 where I was outside of Pittsburgh camping with some of my college fraternity friends, college fraternity brothers. We were on a retreat, and I'm going to put it this way, it's true as I live and breathe. I wrote it all down. We were almost all killed in a satanic ritual sacrifice. We were out in the boonies outside of Pittsburgh, and some guys got territorial, and they were listening to satanic music. I was the only one awake. Everybody else was dead asleep. So I'm literally the only witness to this from our side of things, anyway.
Wow.
And I truly believe that God sent angels to protect us that morning. But he used something totally natural to make me witness it. I won't go into the details, but because it's a very human thing. But I'll just leave it at that. Off camera, believe me, for one, I'll tell you. But I'm convinced. If I told you the whole story of how it all went down, you'd see what I'm talking about. But I truly, honestly believe that God had put an angel right in front of us, because those cars were coming at us. They were going to run us over. I was the only one awake. I truly believe that God protected us. And if any of my college fraternity brothers are listening to this podcast, and if you were there for it, you know what I said back then, and I stand by every word now, 21 years later. I don't retract a word of it. But we were almost all killed. And I called my godparents up, because my godfather used to work in the car insurance business. These guys ended up destroying the cars, at least most of them, and they had car insurance questions. So I called up my godparents, and my godfather wasn't home, but my godmother, who is still with us, thanks be to God. I told her what had happened, and she was just like, "Evan, you got to be thankful, because you don't." And I'm fighting back tears, and I'm like, "I know." But yeah, it was scary. It was a scary, scary experience. But I do believe that God protects us. I do believe that God allows some evil to take place so that some good will come about. So, like, right now, I jacked my back up, and it's painful, but I know there's a reason for it. I may ask Lord why, because it's like, I want to know why. Who am I suffering for? Somebody must really need a lot of prayers. Please. I want it to be that. I'm not playing the saint here. I'm a sinner. And it's more on the side of, what happened, Lord? I got so much going on. Why are you throwing this monkey wrench at me? But I know it's for the good, the greater glory of God, and something else that I don't see and may not see in this life. But overall, at the end of the day, I truly do believe that Our Lady has put her mantle over me and protected me on more than one occasion. More than one occasion. One thing does involve Fatima, but that's that story that, only when I'm dead.
Do you have anything else, Ari? Any other follow-up?
So I know you obviously, Kevin, you said that you obviously do have a devotion to her. Is there any particular prayer, anything that you personally like to do in regards to Our Lady of Fatima, or just Mama Mary in general? Like, any prayers, any I know people, the most common is the rosary. But I don't know if you personally have like a specific prayer that you like to do to Mama Mary.
Like a consecration or something, you mean? Something like that.
Yeah, related to Our Lady of Fatima, or if you
I
recommend any.
don't have a specific like consecration or Our Lady of Fatima or anything like that. No, I can't say that. But number one, they would obviously be the Rosary one. Oh my Jesus, forgive us sins, save us from fire and hell, etc. That's the one that I would probably has more in the books for that than anything else. The prayers themselves that the angel taught the children are very powerful and very moving as well. Would that I prayed them more often than I do. I kind of have my own set routine, and some of it comes from the way that my prayer life is developed from different experiences or that I've gone through.
Sure.
So, for instance, in addition to my work with Fatima, I've also done a lot of work on the history of the prayer to St. Michael and Pope Leo XIII's vision thereof. The St. Michael prayer is a fixture for me at the end of the Rosary. And blessedly, where I live, we've got some really solid priests, honestly, among the most solid priests I've ever known. And they say the St. Michael prayer after Mass, which, by the way, is celebrated ad orientem. And it's nice to be able to have that, because that prayer is incredibly important with all of the evils that we see going on in the world and in the church today. Yep. It's extremely powerful. And so that's a fixture for me in my life through the Rosary. If you have to say it at the end, because some people say it at the end of the Rosary, others don't observe that custom. I come from a very traditional Polish Catholicism, and so even as a convert, and that's just a thing. The St. Michael prayer, I was taught that very early on. That was a staple. But as far as like a consecration of Our Lady of Fatima, I can't really say. One thing I would love to do is a devotional. They have that penitential way that Lucia and her family had done. That leads that ends in the Chapel of Apparitions. I would love to do that someday, but unfortunately, I think I've aged out. My knees are not what they could. I have arthritis in my knees, I think, and I can't do that. I would probably lose the ability to walk if I did the whole thing. So I'm not able to do it. Maybe from from a certain point and then do it to the Chapel of Apparitions, but I wouldn't be able to do the whole thing. Yeah.
Also, I'm really happy that you said that you also take a likening to Saint Michael, because that is one of my patron saints.
Love Saint Michael.
So, yeah, Saint Michael has. Well, I'll be honest with you. I have a somewhat pretty good devotion, I think, to Our Lady, but I will say that I do feel, on a more devotional side, I will say I have a stronger devotion to Saint Michael and Saint Joseph, if I'm honest. Which I know kind of surprises people, because everybody's like, oh, like, Mama Mary, which I have nothing against, obviously, Mama Mary, but like, I do have a much stronger devotion to Saint Joseph and Saint Michael specifically. So it's really cool to see that more people are taking a fascination to Saint Michael as well.
Love Saint Michael. Love Saint Michael.
Yeah, it's good. Don't like feel like bad or don't think that you're wrong in what you do or anything like with that. I mean, I have a devotion to Saint Joseph. That's been a fixture for many years now. Actually, in my morning devotions. Like I also do the Marian consecration according to Saint Louis de Montfort, and I've gotten an awful lot of takeaways from his writing on that subject. When you do the full 33 days, there's a whole reading that comes with that, and the picture that it paints just helps you go so much more deeper into the mysteries of Our Lady. So if that's something you want to consider doing, that's also on the table. At the same time, St. Michael, St. Joseph, if those are your guys, hey, you know what?
You're on rock solid ground. Yeah.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, and it's surprisingly, because here's the thing, I'm Mexican, so people think that I have some people assume that like my some people assume that my favorite, like, in terms of Mary, they think I have a like love for Our Lady of Guadalupe, which I do, but surprisingly she's not my favorite.
Not the main one.
Yeah, mine has always been Our Lady of Perpetual Help. That one's always been and like that
Talking
surprises
about
people
that soon.
because mine has always been Our Lady of Perpetual Help, and it surprises people because they assume like, well, you know, you're Mexican, and so obviously it's gonna be Our Lady of Guadalupe, and I'm like, no, actually, it's not.
You don't fall into that stereotype.
I don't, surprisingly. I do not. It's just, and you know what? And again, like I have a huge love for Our Lady of Guadalupe, but Our Lady of Perpetual Help just takes it for me, you know.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Yeah. And don't ever let anybody think that you're strange or odd for it.
Yep.
Our Lady gets people in different ways, and her titles reflect aspects of her. And if you really want to go, if you really want a crash course in that, go to an Eastern Catholic celebration of the Akathist to the Theotokos. You'll get a very quick crash course in what I'm talking about. I'll leave it. I won't elaborate because I want to leave some mystery here for you on that. But you'll get a crash course. I do have some closeness and affinity for all things Eastern, and that's one of the reasons why I know about that. But it's a beautiful prayer to Our Lady. Oh my goodness, it'll blow you away.
yeah, but I know that a lot of people, like, it's like, for example, like our church. I don't know if your guys' church does this. Our church, during a certain period of time, they have a huge statue of Our Lady of Fatima, and what they do is you can call into the office and
take it home. It's very common.
Yeah,
in
you could take it.
in the U.S.
You take it home with you, and she stays with you for like a week.
Yeah,
and then afterwards you give her back, and like she just floats around in every house, and you basically
we
will
love
like
that.
have her and all that.
Beautiful.
I never understood that, to be honest. I always thought it's kind of like weird, but like
meant to consecrate your house.
Yeah, I mean,
it's rooted in history. Actually, when the Pilgrim Virgin statue of Our Lady of Fatima was making the worldwide travels as part of promoting the Fatima message, the message of Our Lady of Fatima, and people started adopting this particular one where having a statue be like one central location, like a parish, and people could take it home. But it kind of was an offshoot of that, and it's connected to that aspect of the Fatima message with respect to families and praying the rosary and devotions and stuff like that. So that's how that got started. I don't know the specifics of like the who. That's actually a good question. How did that get started? I think one of my friends in the Blue Army asked.
Okay, yeah, because I always wondered about that because I never understood. Like, I'm not against it because I mean, my mom and I like we've had her. Like when I still lived with my mom, like I would call the office to have her come and visit us. My mom loved it, and Our Lady of Fatima is actually, I think, one of the apparitions that definitely brought her back to the church because she had strayed away from the church for several years due to some things that had happened. And so when I had called in to have Our Lady of Fatima come visit, like I think that was the first time that I saw my mom like ever like truly have like the light brought back into her, you know. So I think that definitely like had a really huge impact on her. I'm not, to be honest, I'm not too like familiar with Our Lady of Fatima, and I'm not like I've heard stories here and there, and like I know a little bit, but I can definitely see that she does help because I mean I saw it in my own house, you know, with my mom. You know, that was one of the reasons why she ended up coming back to mass and to church.
Praise
and
God.
everything.
Praise the Lord.
So yeah, but anyways, that is all the questions that I had.
Thank you so much, Ari. Ari, thank you for coming up. Ari, God bless you.
Yeah, God bless you both.
Thank you.
I'm really happy you don't like Diet Coke. You know, that just makes me respect you more.
Here we go.
I only not for the taste. The taste is good for me. It's just as much as it is just. I don't think that the ingredients are make it for a very healthy drink. That'd be my objection. But
I completely 100% agree. I mean, I don't like the taste, but I 100% agree that it's not good. And William over
when
here
y'all are done crashing the greatest drink on earth.
I'll tell you what, Ari. I'll tell you what. If I go visit William, I will sneak a Diet Right into his beverage, and he'll think it's Diet Coke. If he doesn't notice it and thinks that he says, "Oh, this Diet Coke's pretty good," Then I'll report back to you, and then I'll let you know that he does know the distinction.
that would make. And listen, you should record it, and then I could post it on his YouTube, because I am his editor, so I have
She's
access
my
to his
editor,
YouTube,
man.
and we can.
Okay.
So there you go.
William gets fooled.
Yeah, and you know what? It's gonna be funny because it's gonna be funny because he's not gonna know where I got certain video or anything, so I could just post it, and then it'll be so funny. If he can't tell the difference, that'd be hilarious. I'm not gonna lie.
The worst part about it, Diet Right is not available here in Texas. The cans that I have
here. We're not going to get into a long conversation about attacking Diet Coke. We're not doing this. No, man. That's my.
Well, at the moment, I'm just talking about Diet.
My heart, man.
At the moment, I'm not trying to rag on Diet. I'm just saying that the one that I do drink, the Diet Right, it's not available here in Texas. I've noticed, at least in my area. The cans that I have here in my kitchen, I brought back from South Carolina on that trip that I did that I mentioned earlier in December.
Well, to be fair, I don't know if you know this, but William gets his Diet Coke. He crosses the border to get his Diet Coke.
He's so
strange. I don't know any person that crosses the border just to go get a Spanish Diet Coke.
Do they put something different in it, William?
I have no clue. The recipe's completely different. It tastes way better. The diet soda over there, the water tastes way better. It's crisper in taste. And then I like their over here in the US we have Pepsi Zero, what used to be Pepsi Max, which had higher caffeine. But over there they have Pepsi Kick, which is even higher caffeine. It's phenomenal. It's fantastic. Yeah, I mean they're better over there all the way around. So
yeah. Well, then see,
Spanish drinks in general are good, but
they are.
Anything I say about Diet Coke is limited to American, not Mexican. So I'll be fair.
I mean, I agree that it just cracks me up because I don't know a man that goes specifically just across the border just to get a Spanish Diet Coke.
That's real love.
And I'm just that is dedication.
He also does
right
a lot of heavy lifting, this guy over here, so he can do it and get away with it and burn it all off fairly quick. So
there's nothing I'm burning off. There's no calories. That's why I drink it. There's no calories. Nothing I'm burning off. Yeah, there's 0 calories at all. I mean, so it's great. I mean, there's no calories. It tastes phenomenal. I can drink it. I can enjoy it without worrying about adding on weight. Hey, man, you can't beat that.
Hey, listen. And you know what, William? You'd probably be a lot stronger, like Dr. Carlo, if you would stop drinking that. You know what I mean? Because keep in mind, Dr. Carlo Broussard kicked William's butt in the gym. And that to me is the funniest thing I've ever heard.
Let's go to a few more questions because we got to wrap it up. That was supposed to be a secret. What a hater!
Carlo was there at that group at the coffee house there during the Council of Trent conference, and I remember he was talking about the positing of the person in the saint and all that. Thomas Aquinas. I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay, this is my introduction to this man in person, and he's talking about positing and all that, and I'm sitting there and I was also kind of intimidated because I was like, man, I was like, dude, this guy is freaking ripped. And he's like jacked. You can see it. I was like, oh my goodness, like I got to go.
Okay, who's bigger, me or Carlo?
You had the coat on.
Carlo.
What?
You had the coat on, so I couldn't. He just straight up had the polo on and the jeans.
Well, he was showing off with a polo. I had a suit on, man.
You had the suit. I couldn't.
You couldn't tell, William.
It was covering your frame.
Yeah. But you know what? We'll go with Dr. Carlo because why not? Dr. Carlo is just better.
I don't know. I don't know who has. I don't know who has the more jacked physique. I don't know. William had the dark coat on.
Dang, William.
God bless you. Thank you for coming.
All right, God bless you guys. Bye. Thank you so much, Kevin.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Carlo's more jacked. All right. Well, we'll see you in Kentucky.
I didn't say that. I
I don't know. Carlos, my brother, man. I'm joking around. AB, man, whenever you do want to talk to the brother Kevin, it says, Kevin, I've been studying spiritual warfare for many years. By the way, I can confirm that AB is tremendous. He's great. I'd love to talk to you about this topic, brother. Definitely, whenever you want to come up. I've only got about 10 more minutes, and I got to wrap it up. But yeah, man, AB is tremendous.
I would be open to talking about it with you, AB.
Yes.
I would be able to tell you more from I mean, I could discuss some theology stuff, but more so just on the personal side of things. Just,
I'd love to host a dialogue with both of you, man.
I mean, yeah, I'd have to lay out some parameters, I guess, first, but
it'd be fun.
Because like with me, it's somewhat of a personal topic. We've all gone through garbage in our lives, and some of them I do believe were set on by hell. As a matter of fact, I'll say this: I was recently in a situation, and I am convinced that there was some of the nasties were involved. I'll say it. I'll put it that way. I am convinced of that. It was a very, very bad situation, and I am convinced that there was a demonic element to it. Yeah.
I don't know how you'd answer this question. To repent before too late, would the ills of the church be synodality? Now, God bless you. Repent before too late. I have no clue what repent before late means by that. I don't know.
Where are you getting ills of the church from? What do you mean? Well, what do you mean by that?
Number one, what are you talking about? Ills of the church? Repent before too late. What do you mean by ills of the church?
I will say this though. I think, generally speaking, sorry, I'm sitting up.
No worries.
Slight pain as I do it. I do hear a lot about what's going on. I see the various YouTube channels that are pushing their fear mongering, and I call it that fear mongering.
That's exactly what it is. Yeah, that's exactly what
it is. It pains me tremendously, more than anybody will ever really know. Some of my close friends, they know a lot about how I feel on certain things.
Sure.
As a matter of fact, I was just talking with one of them recently about some stuff over the past couple of weeks. Within a couple of weeks, and I get frustrated with the fear mongering because when you do try to reach out, because I did it with one of them, I reached out in March of last year to one of these fear mongering channels, very politely, very respectfully. They made a video that was mistaken, and I asked if they would be willing to talk to me. Crickets, absolute crickets.
Yeah, of course.
And I can work with people that I may disagree with if I see that they're working in good faith.
Yeah.
It's a lot harder when someone's not working in good faith. It's a lot harder for me to take them seriously.
Sure.
And people are really pumping the synodality stuff right now, and they're fear mongering with it and just lighting everybody up like a Christmas tree. And I'm like, folks, you either believe that Jesus said that the church that the gates of hell will not prevail, or you don't.
It's one of the other. And if you believe that there is this kind of apostasy and synodality is one of the ills of the church, if you actually believe all that and you think that, the church is the gates of hell prevail, well, you're not Catholic, period. I mean, you're not Catholic. There's no pretending that you can say, like many of these fear-mongering channels, that, oh, my goodness, synodality, the church has given in to liberalism and what have you, and what is happening is terrible, it's bad. Look, these fear-mongering channels are going to make you think that the sky is falling. They're going to highlight every kind of sin, and we do have people that are sinful in the church, and we're going to have people that are sinful to the end. But imagine if people lived during the time of St. Paul, and imagine the kind of questions we would get during the time of St. Paul. My goodness, the Church of Corinth that he had to criticized and multiple times strongly over and over in letters. Well, imagine the kind of things people would be saying then. They would think, well, my goodness, the gates of hell have prevailed, and we would follow every media headline. I mean, he's telling the church that they continue to live divisively, they continue to live carnal lives. What would people do today on social media? Well, they would say, well, my goodness, the church has become apostate. That's why I don't follow these fear-mongering sites, these fear-mongering YouTube pages. What do you get from them? Are you learning theology, or are they just feeding you trash and saying, well, my goodness, look at what the Pope did here. My goodness, here, the Pope entered this room. He breathed the wrong way, or my goodness, he looked the wrong way, or he farted the wrong way. Now he's a Freemason. This kind of stupidity.
It's funny. The sad thing is you bring up such an example as the Pope passing gas like that, but you know what? I'm not even. I wouldn't even challenge you on that because it's like we're getting to the absurd with some of these things. At the same time, I don't dismiss the fact that there are problems in the church, and I don't think you do either.
Never, I would never dismiss
how
that.
you handle it. This goes back to what I said earlier when I recommended
that's part of the
book.
true church. There have been problems from the beginning. There's no
Well,
doubt.
Jesus said it.
Our Lord said it to the end.
About scandal. Woe to whom by woe to them whom scandal comes.
Yeah, there's no doubt. The only thing is that that is a mark of the true church. But I think people take it to another level where it's this kind of dialogue and this talk about apostasy and what have you. You're taking it to another level there. There's sinful people in the church. They've been there from the beginning.
Yeah, and I look at it, this is one of the reasons why I recommended that book, Viva and Lose Today, was just because when that lady called there and asked about it, or about things that wants to be a Carmelite, in spirituality and stuff. And so it's like, okay, that's one of the things that Lucia struggled with. Sure. She was abused. She was taken advantage of by people who should have known better, who should have had her best interest at heart, but instead they had their own.
Oh, yeah.
And that is very well brought up in the book. They don't overstate the point. They don't go into all kinds of salacious details. It's a good portrayal. And how she responded to it was saintly. And that serves as a model for us. She didn't run to the airwaves and, cry over everything. That's not the way. It's the hidden life in God. And that's part of that high calling that I was driving at earlier with respect to if you're going to live as a Carmelite in that spirituality in this way, it's a high calling. And if you are truly called to it, you will have the graces for it. I do believe that. But I just get so frustrated with some of these things because some of it is people even just putting stuff out there. They don't even know the first thing.
I know.
They haven't done their homework.
Many times over, I've seen it. It's gotten to the point where I don't understand why people even watch those channels. I don't get it. I mean,
I can't. I find that it just grieves me too much.
I don't know. I mean, maybe some people don't want to really learn theology. I don't know. Because I can tell usually those channels of people that are ambulance chasers that just look for scandal, there's a reason why they suck at theology. I hate to break it to you. There's a reason why they're scandal chasers. They suck at theology. They can't do a theological show.
I'm not able to disagree with you on that because I have to be honest and say that is actually a lot of it. That has actually been my experience.
Suck.
I could actually, if you want, I can give you an example. If you
imagine
want.
trying to get them to do a show on dogmatics. No, they got to. They've got to chase the ambulance. They got to do it.
This is actually published record, so I can say this and get away with it because it's public record. But this is one of the things that I found absolutely scandalous in some of the research on the third part of The Secret. Some of these people who claim to be the torchbearers of tradition, they failed to make a fundamental understanding of the theology of visions.
Right.
And so for instance, the specific thing is they claimed that when in Ratzinger's commentary on the third part of The Secret, they claimed that when he quoted the Flemish theologian Father Edward Dani, that somehow he was subscribing to everything that Dani ever said about Fatima. And I had to go back and untwist all of these things and show, no, actually, when Ratzinger said that Lucia, he said that Lucia, in the images that she brought up in the third part of The Secret, he said that she may have been coming from or utilizing images that she had seen in like some catechetical books that she had growing up. Everybody thought that Ratzinger said she was making it up. And that is not what he said. He was coming from that theology of imaginative visions. God can take advantage or make use of images, phantasms, and Thomistic philosophy and theology that are already in your head and coordinate them in such a way as to communicate to you. That's where he was coming from.
Yeah.
This guy wrote a whole book about some of these things, like eschatology and things. And it's like, when you read Ratzinger from his whole corpus, a lot of it makes more sense. But when they read it from this one view of Father Dani was the devil, basically, and Ratzinger quoted him, ergo, Ratzinger must be the devil too. It was absolutely nonsense. And I'm like, the irony is you guys claim to be the torchbearers of tradition, and you don't even know your basic theology, how this stuff works.
Yeah, that's a problem. That's an enormous problem.
But, they do it, and they did it effectively. And I had to untwist that in my book. And I hope, people can get mad at me for saying some of these things. But I'm like, folks, I'm sorry. You should have known better. You didn't do your homework.
Let's wrap it up because I gotta head out, man. Let's shout out to Saintly Repent. We are with you 1,000%. The incredible, the phenomenal brother says we can either be part of the chastisement of the church or part of the triumph of Mary's Immaculate Heart. Our Lady of Fatima, pray for us. Amen to that. Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Brother, put in a final plug. Anything you want to plug in, my friend? The floor is yours right now before we wrap it up, brother. Anything, any webpage, any book, anything, brother? Thank you for your tremendous time this evening. Put in any plug you want to put in, brother.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Yeah. If people want to learn more about me and my writings, I encourage them to go to my website. It's just my first and last name.com, KEVINSYMONDS.com, KevinSimmons.com. You can click around. I even, like we mentioned earlier, towards the outset of tonight with the Father Sharon materials, that's on the website. You do a Google search on me. I'm pretty much out there with other things as well. Stay tuned. There will be more stuff on the fake Lucy stuff. I am hoping to get over to Portugal this summer, my health pending, and do some on-the-ground research over there. So if people would pray for that, that'd be really, really great. And just overall, just pray for me, especially with health stuff right now, but just in general, I'm a sinner, definitely need it. So,
amen. Brother, thank you so much for your time, man. You were tremendous. We're definitely going to bring you back on again, brother. God bless you. Thank you so much, brother. I'll talk to you soon, brother.
Sounds good. Take it easy. Have a good night.
Everybody, you've all been tremendous. All of y'all are amazing. Thank you so much for your phenomenal questions. Thank you for your tremendous support, faithful. We'll see you tomorrow morning. God bless.